All right, we got a lot done yesterday. We stopped at the expenses in the solid waste fund. We're gonna get through our enterprise fund expenses. We have Jason here from the golf course to answer any questions when we get to the 620 fund. And then I believe that Dawn from our library intends on attending. So when we move into the general fund, if she's here, if you don't mind, we're gonna start with the library first so that she can get out, and then we'll go through there after that. Are we okay to just jump in and get started? We got a lot to get through tonight. Last night went really well, but revenue's easy to talk about. Expenses are where it gets a little harder, so let's get going. Okay, the 612 is our solid waste fund. We talked about that when we were in revenue, and the majority of what we collect goes out for professional services and fees. We pay a garbage service provider now. We don't do that anymore in-house. So we have $174,000 professional services and fees, $75 repairs and maintenance, and that equals the total we expect to collect in revenue.
So is the 174 what we pay for garbage services?
We pay 100% of what we collect in garbage fees out to our garbage service provider.
The 15,000, what's on that line?
That was from last year. For the wood chipping, for the brush pile. We still have an amount there to determine what we're gonna do with. That's being discussed in Bob's committee, so I can delete that because that's from last year when we budgeted, but we may have to address.
So that's our contract, and that's the amount it'll be?
If our contract is for garbage services, so that number can change depending on how many people come in or out of service, if they get 2 cans, if they sign up for recycling. So our revenue will change proportionately if our expense changes, so, you know, that's what we're estimating based on this year's.
Where are you budgeting for the trees and shrubs and everything that are down there?
Right now, we intend to, I think the objective is to get to a spot where we're burning it and not paying for tubing, but that's still up in the air, so that's not what we're talking about here at budget time. Those are public works meetings or public safety? You're welcome to attend if you're interested in that. All right. Golf course is separated expense-wise into Jason's 45120 and Kathy's Pro Shop, although we have the same amount of revenue to work off of. So it is one fund. There's another department in the golf course fund, but the total revenue we anticipated for golf course when we were visiting yesterday included a subsidy from the 212 account, if you remember, and we have lowered the amount that we're estimating to need to lease new carts. So the revenue for the golf course then obviously lowers because we're not going to subsidize money we don't need. So it's a $4,736 difference. That put $4,736 back into our 212 fund that we're not going to use as a subsidy to balance the golf courses fund. So we'll start with Jason's portion since he's here. Salaries and wages, we have it $150,000. You all saw the spreadsheet where it came to those figures. 11.5 for the payroll taxes, which include both OASI and FICA. 5,100 for retirement. 2,100 for workers' compensation. 14.8 for group insurance. 1,100 for unemployment. And for the South Dakota Public Assurance Alliance insurance, 1,700. Those are kind of all set. Now we get to where we can discuss and maybe manipulate if you see areas that you'd like to have more answers on. I brought my laptop again so we can see what kind of expenses year to date have come out of each one. Publishing primarily pays for their advertising and marketing. That comes out of Jason's budget. We have $15,000. When we met with Jason, he's comfortable with that number, thinks he can get done what he needs to get done. Any questions or concerns about that one?
Yeah, Jason, we've only used 55% of that money in the seasons.
Is that what we're at year to date right now?
Yeah.
17?
Is there
You have
plans
MailChimp
for
employee.
Yeah, there's basically MailChimp, which is the internet advertising, and
Okay.
then the,
Facebook advertising.
yeah, there's Facebook advertising as well as the Rapid City Journal that we're still occasionally running ads
Okay,
on. So.
okay.
For building repair, we have two,
Can I,
yeah.
just a minute,
please do.
the sign that's right along the bypass that's fallen off.
Currently, right now, the agreement with Steve Shimonik is we're going to buy a skin for it,
Okay.
and he was going to help us put it up rent-free. So we're in the
So is that
process.
in this?
Could be in this year.
This would be, yes, yeah.
Okay, all right, that's all.
Would that be a next year expense or this year expense?
It could still be this year.
Yeah, you've got.
Yeah.
It's got
this
enough
year.
to do it, yeah.
And I think that skin, the last time, the number that sticks out in my head is around 3, 4, under $500.
Any other questions?
Okay,
Salaries all broken down in personnel? and-
Yes,
so-
yep. And if you have that, that's great, and if you want me to print it out, I can, but we've got it. Building repair and maintenance, we have $200, touch-up painting and light maintenance on cart storage buildings is all we're anticipating for expense in 2018. Equipment repair,
Misty,
yep,
on that one, just looking at year-to-date amounts, you know, it's at 73% of what was estimated last year. And then looking at the previous 2 years, I just want to make sure that Jason's satisfied that 200 doesn't go very far. Is that going to be enough for building repairs, or you've gotten everything taken care of?
Yeah, you know, that's, it's one of those areas that I guess we cut a little bit in. A lot of the repairs in the past have been on the front 9 and back 9 bathrooms. We've put new skylights in those, new siding and stuff like that, so we anticipate there's going to be less maintenance on those two. The $200 would go towards pretty much the cart storage buildings, specifically the older one, Building 1. We'd probably look at new skylights. We're having a heck of a time trying to find the little plastic skylights that go in there though. So it looks like it's going to be a bigger project, and then hopefully that we can talk to the golf committee to actually organize some donation money for this. This was one of the things that on the master plan that they had looked at is, I guess, not a huge revenue source for the golf course. So this is one of those areas that we gotta have to watch your money on. But they do, I think this is an area that a lot of the season pass holders that store their carts in there would like to include. We just gotta, over the years, come up with a plan
Okay.
to get it paid for.
that was the number you were comfortable with?
Yes,
the
yeah.
200. Equipment repairs, we have 15,000 budgeted. Some of the highlights of what that might be spent on to replace reels and cutting units on 2 fairway mowers. Any questions on that one?
do you have a lot more to use on that, because you haven't used very much now for this year?
Well, it depends, yeah.
Only 14%.
Yeah, right now, we hope we don't have to use much, but right now, we're actually doing great this year for equipment maintenance. We anticipated a major rebuild on a fairway mower that we haven't done yet. We're just kind of nursing that along, so.
Everything they can't spend this year will help bring up that deficit they're in.
Okay, I just wondered if you were planning on having more.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Besides setting some money away for irrigation improvements, we have front 9 and back 9 irrigation expenses estimated $3,000 for the front 9, $1,000 for the back 9. As Jason does some projects to upgrade that, he has requested and you have approved him to tap into some of that money set aside in the 212 fund for golf course improvement, irrigation improvement. The reason we don't move that into his fund right away is because he has a deficit, so it would be eaten up before we can use it for the specified purpose. So we leave it in a 212 fund until he needs it for the purchase, and then we give him authority to spend it. Anything else you wanted to add on that, Jason? Because he knows he needs way more than $3,000.
This was a project we figured we were about 100,000.
Yeah, for the, well, yeah.
Supplies and materials, in his budget, he has 500. It's for office supplies and other miscellaneous supplies. You comfortable with
Yep.
that number? Clothing, we have $100. That's for some PPE or personal protective equipment for the staff. Any questions? Janitorial supplies for the bathrooms on the course, got 400. Minor tools, we have 1,500 for 2018. That includes $500 for a spreader. Not really sure what a spreader is.
It's actually something that you'd see a homeowner, it's just
Oh,
a commercial grade,
seed.
so it's, yeah, it's for fertilizing grades is what it is.
Landscape, we have $100 for some red cedar mulch. Is that gonna be enough, Jason? Looks like
No.
historically you've spent
Yeah.
more.
we hope.
Okay. All right, sand, we've got 2,000 budgeted. It's like historically, we've been around that number. Fertilizer, 15,000, that includes 2 applications. Did you want to add anything there?
I'd like to, but realistically, I think we can make adjustments maybe later on with some of the other landscaping supplies. And if we see a savings that, or we see a need for it, we can possibly do that. It's kind of a hard one to kind of predict based on, how much water we have and, some weed infestation and stuff like that.
But that's about what you've been using anyway.
I usually do 2 applications.
So then the other one's coming up.
One's coming up in September, so we haven't spent
You'll be buying more?
Yes.
You don't keep it on hand?
Just a quick question, because I know that's not a lot to spend on mulch, but if you guys, because when it did the chipper out at the landfill, they had that big pile. Have you ever utilized any of that?
We have in the past, but the particular mulch that we're using here is the red cedar dyed mulch, and that's just around certain landscaping areas.
Okay.
So, but we have used that mulch around other trees.
Continuing on with the fertilizer type expenses, we have insecticide, herbicides, and fungicides. We have 1,000, 5,500, and 800.
Yep, the insecticides, the battle we're facing there is ants and then grubs. Herbicides is kind of, it includes not only like 2,4-D for dandelions and broadleaf, but also wetting agents as well as growth regulators, so that's why that's a little bit higher. And then fungicides is really just one snow mold application for going into winter, just on our greens, which is about 2.5 acres, to make sure they're coming out of the winter looking good. Those numbers are pretty consistent with the past.
Jason, do you typically see much for disease activity out there?
Not in this country.
For as dry as it is?
Yeah.
Even before we had a procurement policy, Jason is very regimented in checking the prices and ordering and making sure that he's obtaining the best price possible. So if he's comfortable with these numbers, hopefully you are too. Seed and sod, $1,000. Trees and flowers, $200. Gas, oil, and diesel, $8,000. Signs, 800, and Jason, you want to talk at all about what kind of signs you?
Yeah, the signs,
Yeah.
basically, that includes any cart directional signs on the golf course telling golfers that this is hole 16 or something like that. Also, our pins and our flags come out of signs. Golf service supplies is what we call it, so.
Travel and conference, 1,500.
And that is our, basically our spring and fall local conference, which is in Sioux Falls in the spring every year, and then as well as in the fall, we usually have it throughout the state, so in different locations. And that's with the golf course, South Dakota Golf Course Superintendents Association.
You went and you also said somebody else.
Not last year, the year before.
Okay.
Telephone expenses, $1,350. 7,800 estimated for electricity expenses, 1,100 for propane. Water and sewer, whatever it ends up being, he'll have an exact amount transferred in because those are forgiven. So these estimates may not be perfect or right, but at the end of the day, they'll net to zero after the transfer in from water and sewer. Jason gets $25 a month reimbursement for use of his personal cell phone, so $300 budgeted for that, which is less than it had been when the city paid for his cell phone.
How do you like that?
Yeah.
And then here's the big one, I think that he's here to discuss. 2 greens mowers at $34,000 each. We have $68,000 budgeted for machinery.
I know that's kind of, I mean, it surprised me is, when I saw that price. These particular units, we have 4 of them. We like to buy brand new ones for our greens. That's kind of our bread and butter out there. We take I guess the Nix 2 and turn them into T mowers. I don't have a picture, I apologize, but it's a specialty mower that allows us to cut grass at 1/10 of an inch. So it's a real mower. on steroids, is essentially what it is.
What would happen to the other two?
We would probably trade those in.
Oh, you would trade them. Is
We-
this
yes.
a cost of new without a trade-in, or is that a
They,
cost of?
they didn't want to
used?
give us a kind of a rough estimate just based on not seeing them and all that. I would probably guess, I couldn't even tell you what they're worth. Usually for trade-in values, they don't give us much because they don't even want it, because they have a hard time getting rid of it.
Are they the same kind as the other two, and would it be beneficial to just cannibalize them for parts?
Not with these new ones, because we might save one because we can use it for the two older T-mowers. So, yes, yeah. So one of them, but the other one we probably,
We bought used one last time too.
not for green mowers. We
Oh,
always bought.
okay, because the 28 that you spent, that was on one new one?
That was on one used mower, was that last year?
It says 28,000 you've already done
Oh,
this
that,
year, 70%.
Oh, that was for a used rough mower, correct, yeah. It was a used rough mower plus 2 utility carts, so.
And the greens, as Jason said, are the bread and butter of your golf course. Past life had experience walking a golf course with D.A. Weiberger's group, Golf Incorporated, when we were having troubles at our base golf course. And the first thing that they looked at was how well the greens are. They're the things that make the golf course the most playable and the things that people most appreciate and upkeep. And so it's really important that we have the proper equipment to do that job right and keep it consistent.
What if you only had one of them?
The cost there would be, we wouldn't get done completed in time for golf. A lot of times during this time of the year, the first tee time starts at 6:30. And so I like to try to make it, I guess off the course, or at least off the greens. So for those people to start golf first tee time.
I'd just like to say that Jason spends as little as he can, and he's just really a pleasure to work with.
If, the other option, I won't know right now, but we like to check, I keep in touch with different golf courses and salesmen, and if I get a tip on somebody coming off a lease program, especially if it's a high-end course, a lot of times they're redoing these, they're trading in and out these mowers every 2 to 3 years because they want the latest and greatest in technology. If we could get something like that that has under 1,000 hours, it might be something we'd entertain. That price might come down. I can't guarantee that.
But we're high in golf course too, right? Don't you remember that?
Yeah.
You
How-
have some enough this year anyway.
We hope so, yeah. We have no.
Like 12,000
Yep.
it looks like. so.
Yep, and that fund as well, so hopefully we can save and
Okay.
How old are the existing ones?
let's see, the two that we would trade in, I think they're somewhere around, they were there before I got there, and I've been there for 7 years, so they probably last about 10 years.
But they do, if they're maintained, if we were to sell them through some other means, they're maintained, they're workable?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
And we would look to do that if we couldn't trade them in.
Well, we could try to look to do that, it's hard to we could advertise it to other golf courses, I could do it at local chapters and stuff like that. I don't, we might get an extra $500, it wouldn't be a bad idea, we'd try that first, but.
I was saying, I know there's personal golf courses that people
Sure,
have, and if
sure.
there's maybe an eBay thing or something.
Sure,
like that.
yep.
Yeah, somebody that
We would see what their trade-in value is, and if it's only $500, then yeah, absolutely, I think that would be
somebody's got their own green in their backyard or something,
If you guys would, we'd have to go to bid for this. The 3 main manufacturers for this is Toro, John Deere, and Jacobson. If you'd like more information on it, just get a hold of me. I could send you the link and show you kind of what they look like, so.
Really, remember, this is our plan. So when he
Yep.
does go to purchase this, he's gonna follow our procurement policy, you're gonna see the options. Right now, we're just trying to build it into the budget so that it's a possibility for him to purchase these next year.
And how I got that number is I called a couple of them and I just told them for budgeting purposes, what can we expect to look at for one of these, so.
Well, you're looking to purchase 2 new ones, trade in, sell, whatever the old ones. If you can't trade, if there's no trade-in value in them, if nobody's interested in selling them, is is there any value to the parks system?
Not for,
Parks department?
I don't think so for real mowers.
Are we comfortable moving on to the pro shop?
Just a past question on vehicle expense.
Okay.
I had noticed that so far this year, there's been $2,100 spent, but nothing budgeted.
Yeah, he had a transmission blow on a trip to Colorado. And so he anticipated that, and he's gonna offset it by not spending over in another budgetary line item.
Okay,
You can add more if you want.
Should there be money budgeted for that?
Well, with our repairs and maintenance for this year, I don't think so. I think the truck's working great, and to be honest with you, the trip down in Denver was like once in a, we went to go buy a piece of irrigation equipment, so we don't go down there maybe once every 4 or 5 years. And we really only use the truck to run the ACE, run Pro Bill and all that, so I don't suspect a whole lot.
Good question, thanks.
Well, I did notice that, yeah, you said we had $199,000 in revenue this year, or last year?
No. What we're anticipating for revenue in the golf course fund after I made the changes that we haven't discussed yet, so it's not the same on your book. Including our transfer in, which is the amount that is going to be changing. We had 618,230, but now we're down to needing 611,994.
Okay.
So what I did reduce was the operating transfers in by the $4,736, and when we get to Kathy's budget, I'll show you why
Okay.
we made that change.
I don't know
So a little more than 100,000.
All right. I think the mower thing, I think that would be fine to budget for.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the next department of the golf course, and here's the highlight, that's where the change came in, we'll go through it, but we'll hit that when we get there. Salaries and wages, we have 66,000 budgeted, 5,049 for the payroll taxes, 2,100 for retirement. Kathy's the only employee then at the pro shop who receives retirement compensation. Workman's compensation, 1,500, 7,400 for group insurance. Unemployment, 675, and for property liability insurance, 950. Professional services and fees, we have 3,500. You notice the larger amounts in the years past. She used to pay a janitorial or a cleaner through this line item, and now it's an employee of the of the pro shop, so it's no longer paid under that line. That'll be one of the reasons for the decrease. Publishing, $500. And her publishing, since it's not marketing, what does she?
She'll run, I think, local, like any special pro shop ad, if there's a specific tournament that's going on, she might run a special deal or something through the local paper. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, Rapid City Journal advertising, clubhouse holiday ads, looks like
Holiday
just about
ads,
that
yeah,
stuff.
parties,
Yeah,
Do the scorecards come out of this too?
maybe they do. I thought she said something
They
else
could,
that was
yeah,
pretty
green-
consistent.
yeah,
Kim, for that.
Yeah.
All right. Vehicle repairs, this mostly includes the cart repairs, correct? She
You
doesn't
to
have a
rent the carts,
vehicle.
yeah.
And we have 5,000 budgeted for that, and where's she at year to date?
We got 2,084.
Okay, so she's doing good year to date, that seems to be a good figure. Building repairs, 2,000.
Yeah.
Equipment repairs, 1,600.
Misty,
Yes,
if we could go back to building repairs.
sure.
2,500 was projected for 2017, and they're only at 15%. Is there something that's going to be done in the fall that will get them closer to the projected 2,500 this year that would warrant 2,000 next year?
You know, I'm not really
The
sure.
only thing I can think of this fall is we're gonna be staining the south side of the building. I don't know if she meant to stain all 4 sides, but I know the south side for
So
sure.
out of the projected 2,500, she spent 383.
Yeah.
There's anything that's gonna be done as far as the kitchen anymore, is it?
I don't think she has anything. Besides keeping stuff up,
Yeah.
maintaining what she
I know
has.
she had asked for quite a few things for a while, and I didn't know she got
But
everything.
A.G. Wilson Memorial, I think, is what bought her a new stove and a
Mhm.
Okay.
Does she have anything down about painting? That she
painting.
gave you, yeah, for that building repair?
It may have been discussed, staining sounds familiar, but we didn't put anything in the notes in here. But staining sounds familiar, and I don't remember if it was just one side of the building or all of it, but something
Yeah.
that was gonna happen this fall.
That'd be good.
You looking to lower that number, or are you comfortable leaving it at 2,000?
She hasn't used really that much this year, so. I'm just wondering if it could be lowered a little.
I wouldn't feel comfortable changing it if she's really gonna stay in one side of
Yeah,
that building
yeah.
and needs the money in the fall.
It's, yeah, it's already dropped down a little bit, so
But
I'm
if she's gonna
comfortable
use it
leaving
this
it there.
year, because she's already got, I mean, she's got quite a bit in there right now.
Yeah, that's a pretty big building though.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
yeah, one
2,000 this
windstorm
year,
blows off some
and next
shingles.
year, this is for next year.
Right, I'm saying it's a big building next year too, so if something happens to the building, we can lower it, but 2,000 is what she's comfortable asking for. And again, if she doesn't spend it, she doesn't spend it. The golf course is an enterprise fund, so the money stays in the golf course, and they do have a deficit they're trying to make up for, so. We're comfortable leaving it? Okay.
Yes.
1,600 for equipment repairs. 1,750 for supplies. Here comes some of her purchases. The expenses are for items that she's going to resale, so it also affects our revenue if we lower any of these. Limits her ability to resale those items, and we have markup on those. So equipment for resale, we have 9,000. On sale wine, 700. On off sale beer, 14,000. Other materials for resale, for cigars and etc., 1,800. Clothing, this is clothing for resale, not for the employees, 10,500. Janitorial supplies, 2,300.
Misty,
Yes.
it looked like to me some of these percentages are pretty low, 26, 30, 28, 32, 35. Could she just look at maybe watching these and maybe she needs to lower some of her estimates? I'm not saying this year, but I know she lowered some of them a little bit, but those are pretty low for.
Well, and she
sales.
controls those, so it's really how much purchasing she does to keep the pro shop
Right.
supplied with items for resale, so I can mention it to her. No changes right now, though. 1,100 for minor tools. 500 for landscape materials, which include mulch, soil, and plants around the clubhouse area. Gas, oil, and diesel for the carts, 3,200. Food, 22,000. Travel and conference, I think this is really just a placeholder at $50. She really doesn't go anywhere. But she may have to make a trip somewhere we reimburse her mileage for. It would be like one trip to Rapid, I think, for $50. Telephone, 2,500. Electricity, 7,800. And water and sewer, same as Jason, whatever it ends up being will be transferred in the exact amount, so that it will net to zero. One of the items that is highlighted is for machinery and equipment. We're looking at 40 new carts, if leased to own on a 5-year agreement and trade in old fleet. We had an offer, proposal for 54 carts at a different dollar amount. 142,025, I think is what it was. And George, you can expound on this, but talk to Kathy about, did we really need 54?
Yeah, one of the things that, there are approximately at the maximum 1 or 2 tournaments that they would even have the potential of needing more than 40 carts. And those extra carts can either be made up by those members that are playing in the tournament and having their own carts, or we would have to rent carts from Rapid City and transport them down. And we know enough ahead of time that we'd be able to do that. That would be expensive, but for all the other operations. You know, you've got 36, or you've got 18 holes. You can have a maximum of 2 carts per hole because you don't, and so
Really?
that's, well,
What the rules say.
unless you've got your own and you're playing with
They multiply,
5 other
little
guys.
herds of them running around.
So we feel that that's, and I talked with Kathy, and I haven't had a chance to talk with you, Jason. Do you feel comfortable
Yeah.
with that? I think the golf committee would, that it would, and so she is getting an actual quote on the actual 40, and that won't be due till, or come in till tomorrow, but I think that that estimate is probably pretty close.
We took the data from the last one and we just went down to a per cart price based off that amount. And then we used 45 just because there may be some adjustments based on how many we get to come up with this 118,350 figure, and then divided that by 5 if we lease it for 5 years. So pretty comfortable with that.
What happens to the old cars?
We trade them in.
Will we get something?
It's part of this.
It's part of the-
With
part of the
this
deal.
How many
one.
carts do we have now?
We've got 50, I think, or.
Well, it's like 56 or something like that.
Oh, is it that many?
I know we had 60 originally. Now
Yeah,
a couple
that's
of them
right.
have been, part of that,
So we'll trade in all of those to get that?
Yes.
That's not a done deal yet.
Unless,
we're just estimating.
and that's not done, if Jason does need something for maintenance, that he'd be able to grab a couple of those if he needed to.
If those are leased carts, how much responsibility is there on repair and so forth to the people that are leasing the carts? I mean, are they going to be?
They're leased to us.
They're
and
leased
we
to
rent
us.
them. We don't let them lease them from us. They just rent them for one-time use.
No, but we would be leasing them from a company, right?
Yep.
The company that we are leasing them from, are they doing any maintenance or repairs on those
They'd
under
be
that
brand new
agreement?
carts.
Yeah.
This option is brand new.
We'd still be responsible for oil changes and stuff like that.
Okay, but for a malfunction or, you know,
It'd be fully warranted if they're brand new, and then,
they would just come down and get the cart and bring another cart down?
We haven't really picked who we're doing this with yet, so these are all, I mean, you're asking him questions that he doesn't have an answer to, because we haven't defined who we're gonna go through and what their
is-
services will be.
Is this a totally new sort of thing? I mean, or have
well,
you heard?
yeah, I've seen other golf courses do this. I've
Okay.
been part of a golf course that do it, but the leases are written up all different.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, they could,
And it's very typical.
Yeah.
Even the Air Force went to doing that many years ago.
Yeah, I would expect it would be the city's responsibility for normal maintenance or
Yes,
so forth.
yeah,
But I mean,
yeah.
if a cart went bad or something like that.
Then they're under warranty.
Okay.
And because, you know, they also want those back after the lease so that they can resell to private owners or other
But aren't
golf
these
courses.
leased to own, so they'll be ours? Leased to
The
own.
option we looked at this, for this one, to come up with this number is lease to own.
Leased to own, so they won't get them
Yeah,
back.
well, if we trade them in, then, you know.
So you're saying in
they-
5 years we do this again?
Well, we don't know.
We don't know, you know, what the condition of them are
Yeah.
and so forth.
Georgia?
I think Jason probably needs to reiterate a little bit on our study that we did. In the future, we're looking at maybe having just these, and that's where our income is supposed to be coming from in the future in our circle, is that right?
well, based on the master plan, it was recommended that we move away from the cart storage. And this is where the golfers or the season pass holders will pay for a storage and have their own personal cart. This does present a couple issues though. I mean, we have a parking issue down at the clubhouse that we'd have to probably deal with. But based on looking at how to increase revenue, it was suggested that this is a potentially a revenue source that we can increase. Now, I will say that the season pass holders do not like this idea, and at all. In fact, to the point where they would probably, you know, well, you're the one that's going to be suggesting this, let's put it like it's not. It didn't go over well with the master plan, so. But it is something, you see it at a lot of golf courses where they do not allow for people to store their cards. If we were to do something, I guess the best way to do it is don't just, you know, next year no card storage, is you'd slowly do a 10-year plan, grandfather the ones in, that sort of stuff. Make it where it's just as affordable to lease a card with us than to store it, kind of deal.
I just didn't want us to forget about that.
Yeah.
It's important that we remember it.
Yes.
Going back, just looking at food again, and I know it wouldn't amount to much, but if you look at 15 and 16, it was averaged, you know, probably less than 20,000. 17, 22,000, it's only at 35%, and then you have fall coming up. Is there any way to grab maybe?
This is
Is it that
food
22?
she makes revenue off of, so,
Right.
and she does have quite a few Christmas parties
She does
that
have some
she
holidays
does.
parties.
Oh, so there's stuff coming up?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Well, look at
Yeah,
it this
good.
way, if since food goes bad, if she doesn't pay for it, she has to buy it, you know, pretty close to when they have to sell it, right?
Mhm.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
So if they don't go over budget, then they don't have to worry about it.
yeah. Good question, though.
We have usually, we have a couple of tournaments that I know she cooks for. Men's league during certain specials, she'll order in T-bones, like last Tuesday, she'll do that, and she'll just order in literally days before. And that orders in.
She did comment to me that she would be willing to do more of these. So, I mean, it would be another revenue.
Nobody stops her.
I know,
She can
and
find
so
it.
it is something that we need to keep in mind.
And Skylar, are you comfortable with the 40?
The golf carts?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if they are.
I do agree with, George, that there's 2, maybe 3 tournaments I can think of that we use more than 40 carts in where we might have to bring carts down from Rapids.
And if you do look at the daily play, you generally see, maybe 10 out on the course.
Yeah, 20 on a busy Saturday. Yeah, because half of our rounds are people that are season pass, which most of which own their own cards.
All right. $200 for computer software, and we have the Pro Shops estimated expenses for 2018 down to $199, $144. Might be a little different than what's on your sheet, and that's because of the decrease we made to that number that was highlighted. So you might want to update your sheets with a new lower number.
Can you keep this
What's the computer software? You know?
Just take a minute for
It could be Golf Now. It's I'm not sure if that's it, or if maybe it's the point of sale system that she uses. Golf Now is the online tee time program. I don't know if that's like an annual membership she pays or not, but it's I guess it's.
Is that the scheduling?
Yep, so they can, yep. And actually, no, I don't think that is, because the cost of that is they just get, I think, 2 free rounds. Whoever books on the internet or on their website that we use, 2 of the tee times are blocked for them, so they get all the revenue, and they get to dictate the price on those particular times and everything. So in exchange, we get to use that online system.
I asked because she's at 789 already for this year.
Okay.
So to go from, she's at 46%, but she's already 789, and to go down to 200, there must be something going on there.
Where are we at? Maybe I can help you.
The
Computer
computer
software,
software.
there's a question.
She did get a new terminal. She got
Okay,
a new
that's
point of
right.
sale terminal and a new merchant processing piece of equipment so that she could have 2 instead of 1 during her busier times this year, so she won't need that again next year.
Thank you, Jason.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks.
Hi, Dawn, thanks for coming. We got agreement that we would start with library when we get to general fund. So we got one more enterprise fund to go through and then we'll be out. This one might be interesting. All right,
Can we just go to the library right now?
we sure could
Yeah,
if you want.
if no one's here to talk about the plunge,
Okay.
we'll just save her time.
Is everybody okay with that?
What page?
Well,
22.
22.
Well, just right offhand, I know that there's new people to the board, so I printed off last year's numbers of the second page is what what we brought in. And the first page is kind of what our business amounts to. How many people use the internet, how many cards we get. Certainly didn't want to make it too difficult, but I don't know if everyone had seen these numbers yet. And I don't know if I made enough.
Wait, I think, no, I can talk about it right now.
I'm going to check my folder and see if I have that. Okay.
I'll share with Carol Ann or Tyler.
Okay, let me look at my folder because I don't think Marty's, I haven't seen that. So, and then the little pamphlet I gave you is simply, when I do my state report to the state library, all the numbers that I gather over the year, they had this nice little form that kind of changes those numbers into a little more readable format for you. So, just to hand out and let people know what kind of stuff we do at the library and what our numbers are.
Don't how many people do you have down there now?
We have 4 full-time employees, and I have 1 experienced worker. She works anywhere from 16 to 24 hours a week, depending on what her program allows her to use.
What is she experienced in?
She helps us with our cleaning and our filing and with helping customers. She's pretty much, we don't let her on the computers to do any of the internal computer work that the 4 of us do. But she helps the customers, and then she puts books away and works on keeping, we'll have her clean up the dust things, wipe things down. But she's a wonderful shelver, and she's really good at helping the customers find, the patrons find things. So yeah, she's financed by a separate program, Mary Helen Peterson. So whenever, if we should ever lose that experienced worker, there's about 16 to 24 hours a week of stuff that she takes care of in coordination with us. We consider her a real team player and part of our team, so.
Should we just go on through this?
Sure. We have salaries and wages projected at $126,000. That should match up similar to what you saw on your payroll worksheets. Payroll taxes, $9,639, retirement, $7,536, workman's compensation, $450. I don't think they realize everything that goes on in the library when they set those risk ratings for the librarians' workers' compensation, but it's pretty low. Group insurance, $29,500, unemployment, $650, and insurance for our South Dakota Public Assurance Lines at $1,000. Here we saw an increase in the request from $13,000 to $17,000. The primary reason for that is the library cleaning contract at Black Hills Special Services, which you approved at the higher amount just a few meetings ago. They also have a maintenance contract for their heating and air conditioning. GNR Controls as their boiler maintenance. That's a yearly contract. They get carpet cleaning. Is that just once a year?
That's just once a year,
And
one-time
then
carpet cleaning.
Our Black Hills Technology, obviously they have a lot of computers, a lot of needs. They were down all day yesterday, so they have those. And night security, a monitoring service, and then the weed and feed service is primarily what comes out of that. Any questions or concerns about that?
That's a lot.
It is.
Who maintains the lawn, other than weed and feed? Who's doing the weeding and all the other?
The city crew
Okay,
does our lawn mowing and our weed eating.
okay.
They don't do our weeding, which I've been up there lately. I've been working on the weeds.
They're just glad there's not fountains and water
Yes.
features and there's just rocks.
And I actually just came from a board meeting as why I was a few minutes late, and we, there was a few people missing, so it was just kind of short and to the point. But we discussed on some alternatives for that rock formation out there. Because it's time for us to, I'm kind of jumping ahead, but it's time for us, it's been 10, 12 years, to clean all that rock out, lay some more paper down, put some more rock back in. It's time to do something with that, and they were not disagreeable to just turning it into all lawn.
Which we kind of thought for the events that they have had on their lawn would be a good use of this space.
It would certainly be much easier maintenance-wise.
Yeah. But,
The original plan was to have that, like
All
some
water,
fountains
yes,
and water
yeah.
features and.
no.
It'd be beautiful.
So yeah, in this projection for next year, something needs to be done with that front.
All right, it's okay to move on. Publishing, we have 200. They spend about $8 or $10 when they publish their library board minutes, and that's primarily what comes out of this budget. We have $8,500, which is an increase from the year before, but we have a one-time project, or not one time, but a maintenance project that needs to be completed next year, which is restaining and chinking. We have approximately $7,000, so if you think about that, building repairs is kind of right in line where it was last year.
How often has that been done since the library's open?
It happens every 3 or 4 years,
Okay.
depending on the weather.
Equipment, we have $700. There's a maintenance agreement for the copier that comes out of there. The new nice copier.
Which is making money. That one sheet.
We
it's making
talked
money.
about that already. We were on revenue last night. Supplies, they went down $1,000 from their request in 2017 to $10,000. And Dawn, you're comfortable with that
Yes.
lower amount for supplies? Janitorial, $100. The Black Hills Special Services provides all their own cleaning supplies, so this would just be the small items that the library needs outside of that.
We use a vinegar water mixture to wipe down anything that comes in the library. Everything's wiped down when it comes in the back room before it goes out on the shelf.
So 100 sounds low if you think about cleaning that facility,
Yeah,
but that's the
We're
reason
talking every
it's
once in a while,
there.
I gotta buy a brand new package of washcloths, you know.
Travel and conference, we have 1,800. Rachel will attend her final year of the Library Institute, and 2 employees go to the annual library conference. And you're comfortable with that $1,800 figure, Dawn?
I think so.
Okay.
It cuts it pretty close, depending on the price of hotels and gas, but
We'll get you the best price possible.
Yep.
Okay, for telephone, we have a decrease that you'll see, but we did, one, decrease our lines up at the library in the last year, and then Dawn worked diligently to qualify for an E-rate program, which gives us credit towards some of our fees for telephone and internet services. So $2,100, we're fairly confident will be enough to cover the
it
expenses
covers,
for this
it
year.
covers 5 to 6 months of our telephone, is what the
E-rate.
E-rate
Because you're at
is.
what, 4% right now to
Well, that's because we got a
136.
huge credit for the E-rate we had applied for previously, so we're using up that credit for this year, but it's gonna go away.
Okay,
Because once they approved it for an entire year and a half
got
or
it.
more than
Yeah.
12 months.
Yeah, that's what that was.
We thought that that might garner some attention and that we're about to run out of that credit and have to start paying again, but we were able to use all of that credit. I don't remember if we had like $1,600 in
Yeah.
credit on the bill from that E-rate.
Yeah, it was about 6 months worth of telephone.
Yep.
It was really cool.
Can't we use E-rate anywhere else?
We are continuing to use it, but that was a credit for months we had paid a full price for.
She asked about anywhere else. It's for schools and libraries.
Okay.
Oh, I
that's
thought
what
you
was
said
Yeah.
anymore.
No, it's for schools and libraries. Part of it is to make sure that schools and libraries have affordable access to internet and telephone.
And you learned about that at a library conference,
I
right?
did. One of the conferences I went to, the one Yeah, there was an E-rate session.
And when I say work diligently, it was not an easy application process. It was very cumbersome, but now we've got it going and we'll keep it
Now they
going.
send me an email when they want something. Yes.
Electricity, we have 9,000 budgeted. You'll also notice that's a decrease from the past, but we did an LED conversion this year. So comfortable with that number, Dawn?
I believe so.
We looked
We're only
historically.
just a few months into the conversion, but in the last 3 or 4 months, our bill's been $300, $400 less than it was last year. So at $300 a month savings, you know, we haven't got enough of it to see just exactly, but yeah,
Comfortable with that
a
figure?
couple $300 a month is pretty cool.
It'll pay for itself.
Mhm. Propane, we're down to 3,000. I have these two from the 2017 and 2016 highlighted, as those include large amounts that were one-time purchases for the copier and for the LED conversion. So computer software, 6,600. They have a number of different programs run up at the airport. It's $1,500 a year estimate for Overdrive, which is,
It is a cyber catalog.
thank you, $1,200 for the check-in and out program, which is your Follett software.
Yes, that is our Follett software, our Destiny Follett, yes.
$394 for Start Logic.
Start Logic keeps track of our website. It manages our website.
Okay, and the public computer software, 3,000 up front and 500 for an annual fee.
Okay, and we found out one Monday morning that the program, the company that runs our program, that if you've ever used our computers, when you walk up to them, there's a lock on them and you have to either get a guest pass or use your card to get on there. And then it monitors your time and we can control that up at the front desk. It's called a PC Cop. We went to work one Monday to find out that they are no longer in business. 2 months after we paid for a year's worth. We immediately called Brian, our tech guy, and he did some checking on it. He said, sure enough, they're not even on the website anymore. So he's helping us. I've actually got 4 different companies that I've been kind of investigating. One of them looks really good, and that's where we got that $3,000 number from. If and when we come to work one day and PC Cop fails to work, we will have to put out several $1,000s to purchase a new computer program to monitor our computers. With PC Cop, we're supposed to be good till February.
But we will still need in 2018 something
Yeah.
to replace it,
Yeah.
and that won't be an option anymore. So you're
Yeah.
comfortable with that figure, with the
Yeah.
estimates that we have?
The ones that we've investigated, they're talking 3,000 to 4,000 to start up, and then that price that we quoted up there.
Okay, and then we've got $12,000 for books, bringing us to $245,775 for our 2018 projected budget. The library board got an opportunity to review this budget after we sat down with Dawn and came up with it. They had an additional $5,500 they were requesting that is not in here right now. I'm sure Dawn's here to talk with you a little bit about that. The reason we didn't add it that time is because we didn't have it from anywhere to take, and it's really gonna be up to you guys to decide if we can take from somewhere else to add this in, but I'll let Dawn
The two
talk about what they
things,
wanted.
when the board asked me about this, did I have everything I wanted on there? And I says, well, there's 2 things that,
Okay. See you a little bit
Yes.
better if you don't mind.
there are 2 things that I didn't put on there that we foresee as needing to work on next year. One of them is, of course, the pods out front. We're going to have to do something, tear it all up, new paper, whatever. It's time to pay some attention to that. They have been there for 10, 12 years, so that's not bad, but they're gonna need some attention next year. And the other thing is, some of our furniture has had a good 10 and 12 years worth of work on it. I would say our computer chairs, we have about 24 of them, about half of them need recovered. Some of the pictures, those aren't all the same pictures. Some of the backs have split. They need some restaining where people have rubbed their feet on them. We've done some swapping out. So that extra money that I asked for was, at some point, we're gonna have to start buying some upholstery and redoing some of this furniture.
Have you priced that?
I can't find that upholstery anywhere. It's 10 years old. So I haven't priced to see what something comparable would be. And the 4 high desk chairs that we have behind the desk, there's 2 in the front and 2 in the back. The hydraulics have gone out of about 3 of those.
They're out in all these.
Yeah. So, and I don't know, I'm not a technical person, I don't know if those hydraulics can be worked on by someone in the street department, or if it's just time, they're $300 a piece.
I was gonna say, I wouldn't even waste your time.
Yeah, they're $300 a piece to replace those 4 chairs. So, those are the 2 things that were on my wish list
And
that.
where
What
were they
was the
on
total?
here? It was $5,500 total, but I don't remember where they were on here.
I think we actually put them under, because it was over $5,000, did we do it under equipment?
That would be equipment repairs. I thought it was in 2 places, and then there was like flowers or shrubs or
Repairs
something.
and, yeah, something
And how much was for each out of the 5,500?
to redo the front. Let me get my paper, because
Okay. And I probably have the one here too, if you gotta go somewhere to get it.
We put it under streets and walkways is where we put the maintenance and to replace, repair trees, shrubs, garden front, and the back pods. I had $1,500. They tell me that trees are about $400 or $500 a piece.
So that was under street and walk repairs. Not gonna put it in until you
Yeah.
guys tell me to, but that's where we had 1,500.
And the replace, repair library chairs and tables, I had put that under machinery, $43,400.
Okay, and 4,000 went here.
Yeah.
So that equals the 5,500 of additional. Is it not possible to find in the supplies budget, maybe the money for the trees and shrubs?
Well, that is possible. Based on, I'm not sure what the LED lights are gonna save me, because I've not had a year's worth of that, I've only had a few months worth of that. I'm not sure what the E-rate's gonna save me, because I've not had a running of that. We've had an unusual large amount of that. And, what else was there that I'm not quite sure? Oh, the staining and chinking. Whenever they did it 4 years ago, it was right at $5,000. So,
We were estimating.
Yeah,
how
we were
much for
estimating
that?
7. So, yeah,
Could you just try to find these in your budget
I
and
think-
not ask us to change anything right now?
yeah, I can do that. Because
If you
with-
come up short, then come back and.
I think that's a very fair thing to do, because I do have some numbers in there that I just really can't tell you what the final number's gonna be.
Is there some extra money in the 2017 budget that you can allocate?
Maybe
You've
for
got
some
the,
chairs.
We were
the
going
E
to, we
telephone.
were gonna, this fall, when the street department was gonna come in and help me see what we could do with
Mhm.
the front and everything, this fall would be a nice time to evaluate my budget, see which ones have something
And you've
left
got
in them, and,
some telephone money
Mhm.
yeah.
like available.
We went over in building already though, so we were kind of already earmarking some of that telephone for our building
Yeah.
repair,
Okay.
but
But
there
yeah,
may be other
come
areas.
this fall, whenever the street boys come along, and I call them boys, the men come over, we were gonna evaluate whether we had enough money to buy the tarp, whether we had enough money to buy rock. After tonight's discussion with the board, maybe we'll have them haul all that
Grass
stuff
seed.
off and buy grass seed.
So,
So, yeah, we've got some nice papers all the way around there. So, yeah, there's certainly some options in my budget this
Could
year
you
to
use
try
some
and
of
get
that
some stuff
around,
done.
the rock you don't need, put it around the, what is it, the bargain building over there?
Yeah.
When they put that in, the idea was to landscape around it, and and I guess they've never had the money to do that.
Yeah, there's a big mud hole, we could carry some of that rock over there.
Yeah.
Throw it in that mud hole, absolutely. So, yeah, as my more important things get done towards the end of the year, I'm a little better able to see where I have money left at.
Dawn,
Mhm.
I might suggest that your pods get assigned maybe to the groups that go around to volunteer pods.
That could be, the ones I have to worry about are just the two front, the big long front ones. The ones that are on the sides, the master gardeners already take care of those. They've been very helpful because they've given me some ideas of what kind of stuff I could put in my area that they don't really, I mean, they tend to them, but they're really good about being native to South Dakota and
The other thing I wanted to suggest, if you get new chairs, get something that is not cloth. So you can wipe them off. People should not be sitting on cloth chairs.
Yes, I just had, when we were shut down yesterday, my staff worked, because we had things to do, even though there's not patrons coming through the door. And one of them was, Amanda went through with the upholstery cleaner and hit a whole bunch of our chairs, because the backs of them are just,
It's just not very sanitary.
yeah.
If you could share with the board what we're up against is that the initial budget has $20,000 for donations to groups. There's been $75,000 worth of money requested. So as we're looking at these individual budgets, we're not looking to increase them, we're looking to find if we can save some money in them. And when the board's, asking for upholstery or chairs, those kind of, that's what we're struggling with. I would
Yeah.
be in favor of bumping this for those.
No, I agree. I hear what you're saying, and like I said, I have a couple, 3 line items in there that I just really don't know what my bottom line's gonna be come the end of the year. I need to let the LED lights run for a year to see what kind of savings.
And then what you don't get it in your budget next year.
Yeah.
What you can't,
And-
figure out of this.
Overall, we're satisfying the majority of the needs required, and we have some one-time expenses in here, like the restaining and chinking, that'll bring this budget back down to what we're used to historically. It's not gonna stay up here, well, most of them will, but after we buy that new software equipment to replace PC Cop, and we get that restaining, rechinking, then we'll be done again for
Because
several years.
PC Cop is really less than $400 a year, just as a contract thing. But we're looking at having to replace it, and that'll be a one-time fee. So, but yeah, I've had to go from $300 and some dollars for a PC Cop to, I don't know if we can do that for you. So,
We did talk about the county contributing more.
we did. I went and presented to the county at their budget hearings. Let's see, and I did not bring my numbers with me, but maybe the mayor can help me out here.
We asked for 30,000.
Yeah, we asked for 20,000, which is 8% of our budget, approximately 8% of our budget at 20,000. We asked for 30,000, which puts it up to approximately 12% of our budget. In an ideal situation, approximately a third of our library users are county patrons. So in, the whole rainbow and lots of rain situation, the county should be paying 30% of our budget.
How much of your budget did you say it was that you asked for currently?
30,000.
But what percent of the budget did you say that was?
I think my numbers a few months ago put it, and I might have been using,
Like the 229, because it's not even
Yeah.
close on the 245.
yeah, the 229. It upped it from about like 8% to 12%. But like I said, ideally it'd be nice if the county could pitch in the 30% the 30%.
30,000 would be 8% of that budget.
So, I I will be very pleased if they give us 30,000.
But we've asked before.
We've
for
asked
more,
before.
So that's why we left 20 in our revenue projections for the
And,
year.
yes, and they've, over the last 6-8 years, they've consistently given us $20,000. So if we get 30, that'll be nice.
Did your board talk about if you were to increase any of the county?
We talked about that. We thought that that would really have to come from the city council to increase it because, you know, make a recommendation to us to do that. Right now, we pay, the county patrons pay $5 a year individual, $10 for a family. I told the county, you know, we might have to up that
They
to,
pay about $80 in Rapid.
they pay $98
$98
in
now?
Rapid.
Okay.
We checked it out the other day.
Did you look
It's a
at your
lot.
patron location on this? I mean, it looks like some months, half the patrons are from outside the city limits.
Mhm.
You know, so
Yeah,
it's more than, you know.
yeah, I think it averages out about 30, 60. You know,
Yeah,
might be 34,
I'm just going
Yeah.
by your figures.
so,
A goal of the library board and of the library is to keep the costs down so that more people can utilize the library. But we definitely, as we see increased expenses, need to also look at ways to raise our finance. Our
City
means
has to
finance
pay
needs
for
to
it to
come up.
have it
So,
there for these people
But I
to
do
use.
know that, and some of their reservations and wanting that to come from you is probably because of that desire, which is really honorable, to keep the library affordable for everyone.
you know, we have one homeschool family, they have 8 kids, they live outside the city limits. If we do the $10 a piece for them, that family would not be able to utilize
Maybe
the
the,
library.
if we ever had to do it, and a thought would be maybe the
Yeah.
friends could step in and do some
Yeah, I was
kind
gonna
of
say-
grant or, you know.
That probably is a little rare.
Yeah.
I think one thing when you look at students like that that's basically the specific reason that they have a membership.
Yeah.
There aren't that many of them that it's gonna make a difference. to
Um,
let it stay
We
with
get a
this
lot of
program.
kids after school because the entire high school is given a laptop.
Mhm.
But not the entire population has internet at home. We get a lot of kids after school.
And you have to have a library card to get access to the internet at the library. You don't just let people walk in and get it, or
No,
can they?
they can get free wireless, but if they need to check anything out, or if they want to utilize our cyber library, which has like 8 or 9,000 books in it, our cyber library does, for that $1,500, they need a library card.
Couldn't you do a student fee and an adult fee?
Those are discussions for another time.
Yeah.
We can-
Well,
Those
really,
are all
yeah.
discussions on the table, yeah.
Well, if we
Yeah.
don't discuss it, we're not going to do anything about it. I think it's time to discuss it. is
Well,
what
we're
I'm
not going
saying.
to increase our revenue projection for
No,
2018.
But
No.
the expenses are what we have to deal with.
You know, like I said, if, you know, I carry the numbers to the county and say, look, 30% of the people that come through my doors aren't paying city taxes, they're paying county taxes. I've suggested to them that, what did I say? And these are last year's numbers, I got this big old packet and everything done. I want to say it was right at 20 some dollars for each person in the county. To, if everybody in the county paid $20 more and got ear tagged for the library, they would more than make enough money to, the county would more than make enough money to kick in their share of it. So it's kind of, do we just charge the ones that come into the library, or
I don't think they can assess
Do we-
the tax to all our
Yeah.
taxpayers, I don't
or do
think
they
that's
charge it
allowed.
across the board? Because the reason we don't charge, obviously don't charge for city people to use it is because they pay into the city and it comes out through this way. We could get people in the county to, if everyone pitched in $20, we'd have it made.
Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you,
Yes.
Dawn.
Are there any questions?
Any changes to what's proposed here by anyone at this time?
Okay with it?
All right. We're gonna jump back to Evans Plunge. Thank you, Dawn.
Yes, thank you.
All right, salaries and wages for the plunge, we have $297,000, $297,500. Payroll taxes, $22,760. Retirement, $6,900. There are 3 employees at Evans Plunge that are eligible for retirement benefits.
You're fine.
Workman's compensation, $7,000. You see that's a significant increase. That's because we're getting better at determining how much of what we pay for workman's compensation goes to which department, and they've gotten deals in the past. Group insurance, $7,600. We only have 1 of those 3 employees eligible for insurance, taking advantage of the city insurance. That number could change if we lose the 2 that are not. Unemployment insurance, $3,200, and the SDPAA insurance at $8,000. Professional services and fees is at $16,000. If you wanted me to give you an idea of some of the things that come out of that, I can. If you're comfortable just looking at the number, that's fine too. Anybody want to know specifically what comes out of there?
They do water testing and everything, don't they?
Yes, they test the water, but I'm not sure that comes out of professional services. I think they do that
I assume
themselves.
pool cleaning.
They do that themselves too.
Okay, it's 78%.
Curious if we have it.
Yeah, I can pull it up real quick, just to see what we've been paying out this year, since it seems a little high this year. Oh, so their merchant processing comes out of there, there's Peak Software annual fee, their Black Hills technology fee, similar to what the library has. They do some distribution with certified folder display. And those Heartland payment for the credit card or merchant processing, that's monthly. They have some Ecolab pest elimination, and then the Black Hills Technologies is mostly monthly. It looks like their rack card distributions, that's usually 1 time a year. So those are the kind of things that come out of there. 16,000, it's an increase, but that was the number that they were comfortable requesting for the year. Publishing, similar to Jason's, that's their marketing budget, 25,000. She was comfortable with that figure. When we first bought the plunge, we spent a lot. We now got that. I feel like we're getting a good bang for our buck with our current plan. They're comfortable with the 25,000. For building repairs, they're requesting 21,500. This is for the removal of the carpet upstairs, the men's locker room floor replacement, and tower window replacement. Those are projects that were part of their 5-year master plan, I believe, that they wanted to get done in this year. Equipment repair, they have 15,000. Street and walk repair, like to do some sidewalk concrete repairs as needed, 200. Sewer water repairs, 400. Stop me if I'm going too fast. Do you have any questions or want to know anything more about it?
Yeah, I'd like to go back to equipment repairs.
too.
Okay.
They've estimated 20,000, they've spent $733. Do they have something scheduled for later this year?
Is that the HVAC that they wanted to order and didn't?
I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to
I
that.
thought there was something automated HVAC or something.
Or some kind of planned improvement, because the automation for the HVAC is, I think, down here further.
I know I heard him talk about, now it's all manually done. and
Yeah,
then-
this is the automation of the air handling system estimate. So I'm not sure this year why they're so low, and if they still have something planned, I imagine that they do, and I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that, but I can find it, because you're asking more about where they're at year-to-date in 2017 than what we're proposing for 2018, right?
Both.
We have equipment repairs.
Yes, I bounced back up there. They,
Yes.
Yeah,
it
the
just seems they're
equipment.
significantly low for what they felt they were gonna need. Now, if they're scheduling some kind
Yeah.
of major repair for, you know, the fall when use is down, it just raises a question for me.
We
The
can
1 and 20,
clarify.
they've only spent 733 and only 15 for next year.
isn't very much.
Do you have anything down for that at all, Misty? You don't know why?
No, but if you look historically at what they spent in equipment repair, 15,000 seems like a pretty reasonable number for just regular maintenance. I'm not sure what's going on this year. I imagine they probably have something earmarked for that project. Anybody that's been to any of the meetings?
It's all in that 5-year plan, I think,
Okay.
last
Yes.
I knew.
It's been kind of up and down, 35, 10, 20, 15.
The pump for the slide has been going out a lot. I know that was
Oh, has it?
bigger expenses before.
And
So,
as you've said, it's enterprise fund, what they don't spend, they save.
Yes.
But It's,
Yeah, they had building repairs up pretty high. Maybe what they were planning to do is kind of earmark or save some of that in case building repairs went over or something. I'm not totally sure.
how about the roof?
Wish I knew.
Is that
Well, we have insurance that's helping to pay for the roof, but,
all of it?
I think what you accepted as a council was the one
Yeah.
that was primarily covered by insurance. So there's a deductible, but you didn't choose any. There were a couple options presented to you to pay some additional and get something extra, but you didn't approve that. Bob, did you have any other questions?
No.
Georgia, are you okay with me moving on?
Yeah, we probably need to find a little.
We
more.
can, you can ask Chris or I can ask Chris, but for 2018, we're happy with 15,000 for production.
I think that's plenty, yeah,
Okay.
that's probably fine.
200 street walk repair, I think we got through that, 400 for sewer water. Supplies, 18,200. The big part of that is an impact mat for the end of the rings. The last one we purchased was close to $7,000 after we bought it, got it shipped here and got it installed. So it was a little over 6,000 for the mat, the shipping was about $300-400. And then to install it, the bolts that they needed to install it. But this, we got that at the beginning of the rings and this will be at the other end of the rings, so. Right, sound good? I'm glad you're here. Other materials for resale, now these are items for their gift shop, merchandise to restock, gift shop, and towel service comes out of here. We have 20,000. Clothing, this is employee apparel, 1,000. Janitorial supplies, we have 1,000. Where are we at year to date on that?
37%.
Yeah. So I think I had that one highlighted because that might be a place that we could take a little off. If we are able to take anything off here, that affects the 212 because obviously they're another fund that's not making enough revenue, so we subsidize them with our additional sales tax money. So if we lower any of these, then we can put that back in that pot where we're looking to come up with enough for donations. If you're comfortable leaving at 11, that's what she requested, that's what she had in 17. Looking back historically, we've gone over that, we've been under that. Are you comfortable with it at 11 or?
I think this needs to stay there, it's probably number one priority, I'd say.
Janitorial supplies, yeah. We have minor tools at 3,000. We have 10,000 here in landscape, and this comes from the EPAC Advisory Committee 5-year plan, request for mural lighting and landscaping below the mural.
I thought we had it there already.
Really need to do something that's ugly.
Yeah, it's not fancy. I'm not sure where the $10,000 figure
That's a lot.
came from. It does seem like an awful lot to me. But there was a committee, I'm sorry I didn't go to those meetings, and we no longer have the chair for that committee, but they chose this number, and this was a request that they made. So you're welcome to do what you want with that number, but that's where it came from.
I thought Skylar was the chair of that.
She is now, but she
Hasn't
wasn't
had a
at the
meeting.
time they had the plans for the 5-year plan. Are we comfortable leaving that number? You like to see that larger or smaller?
Do you know anything about that one?
No, I don't.
Where the number came from?
Maybe it's worth considering, I mean, if we are trying to come up with some money for that, others, and, you know, if it could be confirmed later or clarified what they need, I
Yeah.
mean, in the time being. you
I
can-
know that they picked that number based on what they believe they need.
It's a little
Whether
high.
or not they could work with less, I mean, you do what you can, but.
Does that have to do with the other park across
No.
the street at all?
Nope.
Okay.
No, that's in the.
This
park.
is mural lighting and
That's in the park.
landscaping below the mural.
So if we give them less, they do the mural
They-
lighting or they do the landscaping,
Landscaping,
but
one
they
or
don't
the
get both
other.
of them.
Because there's already lighting there.
Is that based on a quote that they got? Or no?
Were there quotes or anything?
That was just, somebody gave them a rough estimate. This
I
is what
can't
we
answer that
got today.
question.
The license just for.
It's part of their 5-year plan, am I correct?
Yes.
This is part of a plan they have, so.
I would imagine that they did some work to come to
Right.
that figure.
I mean, that board worked really hard on this plan, so I'm not gonna
Seems
question
like
it
a lot.
without talking to someone of them.
Purification chemicals, we have 3,000. Gas, oil, and diesel, 50, that's just for mowers. Food for concessions, this is resale, I have 19,000. 1,800 for some lobby branding. 1,000 for travel and conference.
Wait, go back to is that under signs and miscellaneous?
Yes. 1,800.
Up to 1,800, that's a big jump.
They intend to do some lobby branding
What
with
does
that, and
that
that's
mean?
another thing of the 5-year plan. Do you know exactly what they intended to
Well, the
change?
customers can't find their way out to the pool. And they can't find their way to the outside pool, and they can't find their way to the locker rooms, or not the locker rooms, but the health club or upstairs, you know.
So it's signs and
Signage.
direction and how to get places.
I'm sorry, I wish I'd have gone to some of those meetings so I could have some better answers for you. Losing Kara was big, she was big into the 5-year plan at this facility. 1,000 for travel and conference, 3,500 for telephone. We did cancel a couple unneeded lines there. 75,000 for electricity.
I can believe it.
Electricity bills are big there. Propane, we have $577. 4,000 and 3,600 for water and sewer, and if those amounts change, so does the transfer in from water and sewer, so the net effect of those is 0. Some additional lobby improvements in the buildings, we have $700 requested. Here's a big one, 31,000 in machinery. That's for the automation of the air handling system, a pool
Okay.
vacuum, and a floor scrubber.
Yeah, that's the one, okay.
And then $7,500 in computer software. It's conversion of the analog cameras to digital cameras that are on the Alibi system there. And they do need to do something with those analog cameras. Their principal and interest payments for their loan are listed in here because it affects cash. And $793,900 is what we have for expenses estimated for the plunge. And just to go back, our revenue total for the plunge was $793,900 with a transfer, operating transfer coming in from the 212 fund, which so far we have not changed. Anything else on that one?
Is our air handling system up to snuff now? I've heard stories about that since I moved here.
Yeah, you're
And is it
welcome.
worth putting $31,000 worth of automation on?
To replace the entire system
That's
would be
replacement.
way bigger than that. No, that's
Oh, yeah.
just to automate it. And the entire building is run off that HVAC
Right.
and the water. So we had an expense, about $30,000 in 2015 that, where's that big expense? Just because we didn't shut that down correctly when we drained the pool for cleaning. So I don't know up to snuff. You can go into the plunge and talk to the maintenance man. Tom Nas has a good handle on that system, but they do feel it's worth the $31,000 to fully automate it. So that
Steve
we
Winnie has
don't,
also
yeah, he's
done some
fixing the
analysis.
last
Steve
time.
Winnie has also done some analysis.
Yeah.
He's on there.
I
Yeah,
did,
he's on their
I
board,
did
so.
talk to him about it. There's so much involved in it that the automation's gonna save us money for sure.
And if
So
we
I
don't mess
see-
something up,
I
it's
don't
worth
see
it.
any problem with that really right now, so.
And that way there's only one person or a couple persons
Yeah.
monitoring that on the auto system, and it's authorized people, you know, and not just the lifeguards or that, you're turning off, like the pumps.
Yeah, if somebody doesn't know automation, you're in trouble.
Get you up to speed on it.
All right, are we ready to move into the expenses in our general fund?
Not quite yet.
Okay,
I'd like to just kind of keep in reserve or in our mind the landscaping, the murals and the lighting.
Okay, so let's
As a
highlight.
possible point of, or a possible place of saving some money.
Okay, so there and where else?
You know,
It's the same one.
Just there?
as we go through these, we've got to identify something that,
That's-
you know,
I
we feel
agree.
like we might be able to save or reduce, to put towards the donation to.
Or to just save.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but,
Is that the only one you wanted me to
There's nothing
highlight
wrong
then,
with
Bob?
saving money.
Or was there another one?
Not giving
No,
it
it's
away.
the same one.
There was another one that I did have, again, same question, going back to machinery and equipment. In 2016, they spent 971, they budgeted 20,000 for 2017, and they've spent 1,300. I keep coming back to the question, you know, getting this late in the year, is there something that they're projecting later in the year that they're gonna be spending this money on, or, you know, did we get it wrong? I'm wondering about that.
Good question.
Yeah.
When we budget 25,000, we've spent 1,300. Thank you.
Yep, so I can question the equipment repairs expense so far this year, year-to-date, and the machinery and equipment so far, year-to-date. And then the one that you wanted me to highlight for potentially decreasing as we go on through the budget is just the landscape of 10,000. Is that right?
That's my thought.
Okay.
So then where are you taking us?
General fund. Back to the beginning of expenses, if we're comfortable going through those. I think we have mayor and council is the first page. This one's pretty simple, unless you plan on giving yourself a raise, very similar to last year.
What about supplies and materials? Why is that? We haven't spent much on that. But we still need 300 next year.
And I'll tell you what kind of things have come out of there.
This is right after the divider.
Oh, mine's orange. I wasn't going to enjoy
Any interest in changing that to an all volunteer mayor and council?
Sure.
I thought I was working here for free until they told me to fill out that W-4.
I was all signed up with nothing.
Miss, you have a question?
The nameplates, some mayor business cards, a laptop was purchased out of there, not this year, but historically, so those are the kind of things that have come out of the supplies and materials line.
Misty, we had quite a few transfers in because of our printing and copier this time.
It's not out of mayor and council budget.
But we do use that. I'm just sorry.
But we
to
don't,
say-
we don't ever charge mayor and council
Right.
for those copies, because it comes out of general government.
What I'm saying is though, did we accommodate for that this year?
Yes.
Okay.
We attempt to, but we get charged per page, so it's hard to know. We had our Boulder Falls Road Improvement Project, which had a lot of printing associated with it, and will continue as we had to send the notices out to the 127 different lots that are affected by it. So there were some significant
We had a
printing
lot of
expenses this
legal.
year. And I can't tell you if we're
Yeah,
gonna
a lot
have
of
that
legal
next year or
stuff,
something
too.
else is gonna come up, you're gonna have significant printing expenses
Okay,
or not.
I
But
just.
that's not in this budget. So
No.
mayor and salary,
No.
we have 42,000, 3,600.
Are those fixed expenses that are mandatory under?
We have an ordinance that set the rates that they make, so we'd have to have a change to the ordinance in order to change that.
For the retirement and the workman's comp?
There's no retirement, salaries and wages is what sets all the rest of them. They're driven by that first number.
Okay.
So those, I would call them fixed expenses. I heard some suggestions, maybe supplies and materials is gonna go down. Let me know if you'd like to see that number smaller. We have 300 there, 2,500 for travel and conference, and 700 for cell phones. And 50,000 for the total budget for mayor and council. contingency. Just to explain the difference you see when you look at contingency for prior years, nothing can be spent out of the contingency department. It's only budget authority that can be transferred. Our Excel spreadsheet allows us to show you the amounts that were budgeted, but they were used in the years 15 and 16 in total, so you see zeros on your fund accounting worksheet because nothing gets spent out of there, just the budget authority is transferred. The way we used to use contingency prior to when we budgeted for it in 2016 was that departments, when they overspent their budget at the end of the year, we just took the contingency and we applied it all the way that we could. Now we don't do that anymore, so contingency is truly for emergencies.
That's not historic.
Okay.
That's since maybe 2012, it started then.
Yeah.
It was
So you
done that
see
way.
those-
It was not done that way before.
I'm just trying to explain why the amounts were so much higher in 13, 14, and 15 and why we don't expect those continued increased amounts.
What's contingency used for?
Well, you get to decide, so I don't get to tell you, but typically contingency it's budget authority. So say the police wreck a vehicle and insurance isn't gonna cover it and we have to spend $28,000 we didn't plan or budget for. This gives us the cushion to move that budget authority from contingency to the police department budget to pay that.
Okay.
And it has to be done by motion of the council, can't just be reapproved.
They're like an
And
insurance.
in the past, it's been thought of more as kind of an emergency fund, not a grab bag that it was used for a few years. Just, oh, I'll need this or that. That was really not what it was intended.
It seemed like it was a reward for overspending your
Yes.
budget for a few years. You just got
So
some
like
contingency.
a big unexpected expense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something significant.
An emergency,
Yeah.
you'd like to think.
An example that the council approved this year was the heating system out at the city shop. It went belly up. Now, in the middle of winter, it needs to be
It's an
heated.
emergency.
So that would go back to my question then. On the sheet we have, Misty, it's showing a 2017 budget of 46,700, and it's showing no year-to-date amount. Should that
Because
just
it's
be
not
flop?
spent, it gets transferred out of there into the street department. So 50,000 is what you approved for
Okay.
contingency in 2017. What would that be? 3,700 was transferred to the street shop for budget authority. So that's why the number goes down. And that's why the other numbers are zero, because when we transfer out of it, you can't spend out of it, so you'll never see that expense. When we transfer out of it, then it's used. And that's
Is there an
why-
idea of what historically the percentage of it has been utilized? Or is,
It was 100% prior to our time, and we
Okay.
exceeded budget authority in our general fund departments on a regular basis and did not appropriate enough money to do that. That is not our practice anymore. So
okay.
whatever we don't use gets put back into our general fund cash balance for use at another time.
Misty, just out of curiosity, and maybe this is a crazy question, but that accumulates over the years. Has that,
It's all in our general fund. It doesn't stay in contingency.
right, but let's say this year you projected 50,000 and you didn't have to touch any of that. Does that come out at the end of the year and go into a long-term emergency fund? Does that gradually build up over the years?
It gradually builds up in our general fund
Oh,
cash
in the general
balance.
fund,
It does
okay.
not get assigned anywhere else.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. And historically, we've spent every penny of it, most of it, so there hasn't been anything to build up. Comfortable with 50,000 in contingency?
I was sorry, that legal, I moved on to that.
Okay, I'm ready to move on to. We have 50,000 budgeted for legal expenses in 2018. Using the data we've received from our new lawyers and the history of what they've been charging us monthly, we're very confident with that number.
The new lawyer thinks
Yes.
that we need 50,000.
No, that's the number we estimated using the amounts from our new lawyers. We get billed by
You
both our
think we
lawyers
need that much
monthly
in
now.
there? They're charging what, 1,400 a month?
Well,
It's,
that
need
was just for
50,000.
Garland.
yeah, and it's
Right.
$400 per council meeting, and then it's an hourly rate after that. So
Right.
it depends on what we need them for. Again, this is, if we had a magic ball and we knew if we'd have any legal issues like we had this year or next year, we would know for sure, but we're comfortable with
And one of the
50,000.
things that I just talked with Chris this week, in order to help him budget his time better, he wants a weekly calls, so the staff will gather weekly on Monday morning and give him a call of the issues that are ongoing within the
Garland?
staff. No, Chris.
To Chris.
To
And I
Chris.
thought Garland was the one that was coming to our meetings and doing most of
And
it.
he'll sort that out with Garland, whatever, and any issues that they have or questions that they have. So if any of you on the council have anything that, isn't emergency pressing, but questions that you have, we can take those all at one time and it'd save my rate of calls to him. And we're having a 9:30 telephone meeting with him, with the staff involved,
What day are you doing that?
Mondays.
Mondays.
Is he billing us for that time?
I'm sure he will.
Called the meeting?
In looking at the last few years for expenditures going into 2017, I mean, that's a $17,000 increase.
And we're over 100% in budget. this so far
Well,
this
yeah,
year.
we are right now because last year we budgeted 40,000 and we're in excess of that. But I mean, are we looking at a new norm?
That's what I was curious too.
Well, we're only in July, and we are not expecting an $80,000 bill this year, which if you took where we're at year-to-date and doubled it, that's where we'd be. We don't have the attorney that got us into that position anymore. We also don't have the attorney that only charged us $24,000 in 2013. We have a new attorney. We have a new attorney that we have two partners that are working together that are each billing us. So this is our estimate using what we've agreed to. with them.
So basically, we're just looking at a new norm at the 50,000.
I wouldn't call it normal, because it's legal fees, and there's no way for me to predict how many hours they're gonna have to put in for the city in 2018. So after this next year, if we continue to keep this attorney, we may be changing that number in 2019 based on the activity, and the rest of 2017 and the rest of 2018, or all of 2018, but I wouldn't call it a new norm because we don't know.
One thing that we need to be aware of, we had like 7 lawsuits and we are down to none right now.
That's not a true statement.
Well, we did have a lot and we have finished clearing those up, so.
We're not all done with our
No,
lawsuits.
we don't. Well, whatever. Anyway, we don't have 7 or 8 of them, which we did have, so we did clear up a bunch of them, which was one of Cindy's goals.
And we do have some ongoing, and we're gonna be having to pay to get our attorney up to speed on those.
Right.
So and then we just have no way of predicting what's.
So we had incidents occur from 2016 to 2017 that really escalated legal fees, and we're not quite out of the woods yet, is what I'm hearing then, right?
Right, and we also had an attorney that, and the reason that we changed attorneys is that we felt that we did not get our money's worth the attorney that we had.
We were overcharged.
We were overcharged.
Yeah.
And so that's why the council, we all agreed to get a new attorney under a new contract, just the better stewardship of our legal budget.
And I would hope that when we see what 18 is, we can get rid of that $50,000 in legal fees.
Yeah,
Because
we do.
that's a lot of money to spend.
It is,
One good lawsuit could eat that up. in a heartbeat.
Well, we didn't even
But our
have a
insurance
lawsuit that ate our
companies, they
2017
usually
amount. It
furnish
was just an
attorneys for
event.
these big
It wasn't even a
lawsuits, so,
lawsuit.
Sounds like I heard
No.
years back here, the whole council got sued.
I hope not.
Somebody I talked to was on.
Based on the agreement with the new attorney now, for what their rates are, is their normal rate going to be at about that 50,000?
It's still billed by the hour, so it
Okay.
depends
It's
how
billed
much
by
work
the hour.
they need
So
done.
it's
but
just
the
gonna
hourly
depend on
rate
what
that
they
we are
have to
being
do.
charged with the new attorney is less than what we had with the old attorney. Plus the research fees are considerably less.
Okay.
We can get an answer for less than
Get an
$5,000.
answer, but yeah, an answer for less than,
Okay.
because we have either more experience.
Was it always protocol to have the attorney at the council meetings too in the past, or is that?
And it's probably a good idea.
It's money well
It's
spent.
money well spent, just so that we don't do anything that will, cost us a a great deal more to undo.
In past years, Marty, the city attorney attended a lot of the council meetings. The last couple of years, you very seldom saw an attorney at the council meeting. But, you know, now with the new attorney, I've noticed he's been at.
But we're paying him to be there, of course.
Right.
As well, so.
Isn't it part of our contract with him that he's?
$400
Yes.
per
Yeah,
meeting.
it's part of it.
So if he doesn't come, we don't pay that if he does. And we have used his presence there to answer questions on the spot that we used to have to pay for her to research,
Right.
prepare a memo, provide the memo. So I'd say that
That's
$400.
what, if it's on the
a
spot,
meeting.
that's good, because otherwise you have the video, but if he's being
Yeah.
utilized on the spot, then.
Yeah.
And he sits in the front if we're doing something wrong, the emotions.
Yeah. Good.
And then in the executive session, we have him available to, discuss those issues, so.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next page, which is auditor, clerk,
Hopefully it is.
finance officer. The salaries in this budget include the finance officer, assistant finance officer, front desk administrative assistant, and the city administrator at $184,000. Right now, we're saving money because we don't have a city administrator, but I'd sure like to get one back. $14,000 for payroll taxes.
Are you suggesting you really don't want to do it?
No, I said I'm really excited to have that come back.
Well, I thought maybe you'd be interested in doing like the combined. No, okay, all right.
I'm sorry. 11,000 in retirement, 500 in workers' compensation, 22,000 for group insurance. That number could change depending on whether a city administrator takes the city-provided insurance. Unemployment, 1,550, 500 for insurance, 5,000 for professional services. That includes election costs. 1,800 in supplies, 3,000 for travel and conference, and 700 for city administrator cell phone. $244,050 in that department. General government / buildings. It's a pretty big one, catches a lot of things. Salaries and wages, are we ready to move on? Any questions? General government and buildings, salaries and wages is only for our city hall cleaning crew. We have 10,000 budgeted there. Payroll taxes then are off that smaller dollar amount, 750, 600. Workman's compensation, 100 for unemployment insurance. $11,050 for insurance. This is not the group insurance. We don't offer health insurance to our city hall cleaning staff. This is the insurance on the government buildings. $27,500 for professional services. This includes our audit, Black Hills Technologies, bank charges, Ecolab, which does some pest elimination spraying, some of our government buildings, our Golden West telephony contract, and the city website. Those very large numbers you see there were from the days when we had to pay both accountants and auditors. And so now that we've got our books cleaned up and we're doing that in-house, we're fairly confident that this lower number will get us through.
This category is basically city hall.
It's general government and buildings. So it has to do with other properties of the city and other things that aren't necessarily just City Hall related, but primarily City Hall. All the postage for all of our departments is out of here. The fireworks are out of here. We have a big expense for a travel vehicle for the entire city, so some things are lumped together in here. $8,000 for publishing. God, I wish there was a way we could pay less for publishing, but we have legal requirements to publish things and it's expensive. And so read the paper, read the fine print paper, so that I feel like we're getting a bang for our buck.
Why do you
there.
think it's so much more? It's gone up from,
Yeah, well, just in this year with all the publication, anytime we pass a resolution or an ordinance and it's per mark, you know, every mark that you put in there, we're required to publish all of our expenses, we're required to publish all our minutes. You know, the more work we do and the more things we get done and pass, the more we're gonna pay for publication costs.
We need to contact our legislators.
See if we can just get it all.
Seriously, I just got an email from the mayor of Newell, and the the Butte County is their legal paper, won't come and cover their meetings, and they spend similar amounts to publish all of their legal notices in the paper. And he's trying to get authority for smaller communities like Newell to be able to do it on Facebook and the website as being a legal notice, since, you know, the Butte County Sentinel is not willing to cover them, indicates it's less of a readership in the Newell area. And it might be a trend in the future, which would be, you know, saving us, saving money.
It is something that has been discussed at the Municipal League each year during the legislative session for the last couple of years, because it is such a big expense for small communities. And similar to like fireworks, very polarizing, because there are those that are very strong on the side of saving money and making it available electronically, and then those on the side that, you know, not everybody has the internet, and they have a right to this information and need to be able to read it in the newspaper. So that's why it really hasn't gone very far, but it is.
It also helps support your newspaper.
Yes, it does.
Not everybody reads
People
the
that read every single thing,
There are,
they read
yeah.
every penny we spend.
We're fortunate here, we do have a newspaper that supports, you know, the city and covers our meetings and so forth, but in Newell, they aren't going to invest in that coverage.
I figure maybe 10% of the people read the paper, but everybody has a cell phone and a computer.
No.
Not everybody.
No.
My husband's
No.
on a computer, but.
Every
Don't-
time here is
don't- don't listen.
35,000.
It's a higher percent. So if we could do it on the
Okay, but not
website
everybody.
as well.
Not everybody. I'm still in the 20th century.
We do post.
A lot of elders that.
Yeah, so anyway, no, we have 8,000 budgeted for that.
Elders.
Put it in the print.
I can only speak for myself.
I used to give my paper to people, and it's passed to 3 or 4 different families, our newspaper. That's, yeah, you know, it makes the rounds. It may hurt the newspaper, but they wouldn't buy it otherwise,
Yeah.
so.
We have 2,000 for building repairs.
What is that gonna be?
It could be anything small. You see a large building expense down here, because this would be a capitalizable expense, is why we have it lower. But those would be any kinds of repairs that were needed to City Hall. We've had electricity issues, we've had some patching issues.
That's okay.
But year to date, it's only been like 3% spent.
Yep. That's why we lowered it. It's one of those things, it's hard to know. You're gonna have a window break, or you need somebody to service the heating or air conditioning. Equipment repairs, their copier maintenance agreement, we have 6,000. 7,000 budgeted for postage. 1,000 in janitorial supplies. 2,800 for travel and conference, which is where membership fees are paid from. That primarily is for South Dakota Municipal League annual membership for all of the different departments that participate, and then also our SAM's membership fee, which is a very small amount of that. It's like 300 out of that 2,800. Telephone, 2,800. 5,000 for electricity. 2,500 for propane. We have 4,500 budgeted for the 4th of July fireworks for 2018. We have 50,000 budgeted for a new roof at City Hall.
There was only $4,000 worth of fireworks?
We had 2 years last year because they were canceled the year before. So once you enter into agreement to buy the fireworks and for them to deliver them, you get them, whether your fireworks display is canceled or not.
Does that
So,
include the
no,
$100?
that goes into the general government fund.
Okay.
So, yes, it does.
Okay.
4,400 of taxpayer dollars and 100 of a donation. 4,500 for fireworks for the 4th of July.
If you could just get everybody to contribute the amount of money that they spend on the illegal stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I'll let you
Give it to
head
the
that
city.
up. I'll let you head that up. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Why are the numbers so much higher than the previous years?
Yeah, why is it so substantially
Yeah.
different there? With the
You know, you're looking at
25,000?
4,500.
Yeah, I think that
60.
they plan to have a New Year's and a 4th of
Yeah,
July
they did a
fireworks
couple years.
display.
They did that a couple.
Well, they had some left over and they got used at New Year's, and then the next year, then they thought they needed
Needed
it
a New
all the time,
Year's,
so
yeah.
it kind of multiplied.
This is another one of those polarizing issues. You know, some people feel like we have to have fireworks and it's a wonderful thing and it brings a lot of people in the community, and then there's those people that prefer we
Why do we
didn't.
need a new roof? Is it leaking?
Yes, we have significant issues. It's been
leaking,
28
but no one
years.
knows about it because it's another
Oh,
floor
no,
up?
in February, when it froze and thawed, it was raining inside City
Okay.
Hall, so we do know about it.
Yes.
And it's been 28 years since the last.
Who's,
roof was
Is there
who's
any
the
insurance?
$50,000 estimate from?
Weathercraft out of Nebraska, they came and searched
They're
when
really
it was
good.
leaking.
They're the
And
one
it's,
that's
this is
Same
not
as
a,
Evans
this is
Plumbing.
just, yep, this is
Yeah.
just an estimate. We have not contracted for this improvement. It would be bidded out, but this is what we're
I
estimating.
think they did the depot. years ago.
We're gonna put a synthetic roof on, rubber.
It already has that membrane
Membrane.
covering, but it's starting to break down. It's only good for so many years and we've exceeded the,
Is there any insurance?
no, it's
Okay.
use. It's not.
What was the 2014 for the 28,000 for building repair, what was the increase or the substantial amount?
Oh, I don't see enough.
It was
Oh,
back-
farther up?
For the building repairs for the
In
28,000.
2014?
I was thinking that might have been roof then, I was just curious.
Let me try to find it for you.
Is that when the steeple got knocked off?
They do.
Who knows? Oh, you know, we did remodel this side of the
Yeah.
building. Was that done in 2014? Rewiring,
probably.
remodeling? I bet that's what it was.
Okay.
Do you want me to keep looking?
No,
See if I
it's
can
fine.
find it. It takes a little while
I'm
to
just
search.
curious, I thought,
But
looking at it,
this-
I thought maybe it was roof, because that's always what's being.
If you notice, this whole side of the, and we just had some wiring issues on the other side, and he identified that this side was rewired, but the other side still needs it, so I'm thinking that that was done during that time. And we had gotten a rural development loan, and we had to bring the building up to ADA standards, and so they had to redo the bathroom in the back here during that whole remodel. 50,000, and then this is highlighted, since I know it's gonna garner some discussion. I'm not sure that the people who wanted it here are still here anymore, so a travel vehicle for the city and surplusing the yellow truck.
I think the yellow truck probably has seen better days and needs to be surplus,
No matter what.
no matter what. The travel vehicle was meant to be used here by the city staff as necessary and possible use to save as people travel to different functions. And I had Misty do a look at what our travel expenses were, and it's far less than the investment that of the $12,000. I talked with Kim. We do have a vehicle that's designated for Tracy, so Kim is the other one that would have the most function or use in her function to go out and use a vehicle. She prefers to use her own vehicle and does not want reimbursement just because she's got all her tools and things set in there. And so I would recommend that we move this item to zero.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
If you remember, we're trying to narrow an over $100,000 deficit already, so this will help to make that smaller. So everyone in agreement with taking that out? So this budget goes down then to 141,600 without that expense in there.
Can that yellow truck be used with one of the other departments?
I don't think anybody wants it.
It's
We have talked about that.
Nobody likes
It's not the color. It doesn't start. It has some wiring issues.
It's got some wiring issues.
It's got a lot of
It's
wiring
problems
issues
that,
and beat up. But if you like it, we'll be selling it, so.
I'll give you $1.
What truck is this?
It's across the street. It's the yellow truck. It hasn't moved in a year. It hasn't moved in over 365.
Oh, that?
Yeah. She doesn't use it. She has no interest in using it, so.
We need a new pod somewhere we can plant.
All right, so we're gonna move on to engineer. For those of you that are newer to the council, to explain Tracy's position, he is paid 20% out of the general fund engineer. The remaining 80% is split 40 and 40 between water and sewer. So when you were looking at those water salaries and wages and the sewer or wastewater salaries and wages, those included the 40% of Tracy's salary. So it looks a little funny, I think we pay our engineer $18,000 a year, but just to explain that, it's only 20% of his salary. These numbers tied to that number, the payroll taxes, the retirement, workman's comp, group insurance, that's just for Tracy. He was part of a group of employees that was grandfathered in to not just cover his own insurance, but also a portion of the insurance for his family. $150 for unemployment insurance. His portion of the South Dakota Public Assurance Alliance insurance is at $200. Vehicle repairs, if you've seen his white truck, $500 sounds pretty low, but he feels like he can get it, and he likes that white van, so. Supplies, $200, very minimal in this budget. Gas, oil, and diesel for the white van, $450. $325 for travel and conference. Telephone, $1,200. He has a line here at City Hall. That he also carries a city cell phone, $374. Total budget, $38,774. Not a lot to move around in that one. Comfortable moving on? Okay. Police is a big one. I think that's our next one.
It's important.
Yep, very important. Okay, police force. Salaries and wages, we have budgeted $355,000. Payroll taxes, 26. Retirement, 30. They get 8% instead of the 6. They figure they need to retire a little sooner since they do all that hard work. $11,000 for workers' comp. Group insurance, $59,000. Unemployment, $2,800. And their portion of the SDPAA at $5,800. Professional services, the majority of that is their janitorial cleaning contract. Vehicle repairs, they have it $6,000. Building repairs, $675. Historically, they don't spend very much either. $6,400 for equipment, and that $6,400 would allow them 2 new tasers at $3,400 a piece. That doesn't.
I thought we just
No,
got those.
not 2 new at 34. The tasers, they have more people than tasers. They're not $3,400 a piece, it's $3,400 for them both, for 2 new tasers. And repair and replacement of equipment, Leads Online for $1,500, which is software they use. It's part of a PON network. And then annual calibration of their radars. That's where they got to that figure. Again, if you have an issue with the tasers, you can bring it up, we can take it off, but this was a request from the department.
When did we buy those tasers last time? That was maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Requirement.
But they need 2 more because they have more people, is that what you said?
That's how many tasers he needed.
Has there been a demand for, they
For
obviously
tasers?
need to use the tasers on?
They're using them.
It's better to have them
They're
not
using
needed.
them.
They're using them.
Yes, they are. I actually saw them use them.
And with the good cause,
Pardon?
what you saw was a good cause to use the
Yes.
taser too?
It wasn't you, was it?
Okay.
We were watching from our apartment complex up at the other apartment complex.
Better tased than shot.
Yeah.
Because of the extreme amount of purchases that go through there, I can't find the answer to that question for you quickly. Georgia, it's definitely something you can ask Mike if he can remember when the last time they bought them was. If I knew who the vendor was, I could probably search by vendor faster, but just looking at the expenses, there's just far too many for me to find.
George,
the
it
last
seemed like
time.
that was maybe 2 years
Yeah, that's
ago.
what I thought, 2 years ago, so I'm just saying.
And how many was it? Was it just 2? I mean, there's 8 people that are on the force.
They didn't have
so
the full staff.
if they just get a couple at a time, that was just the request he made. Office supplies, $7,000. They
I
have.
had a question,
Sure,
Misty.
yep.
On the equipment, I mean, he's only spent $100 so far this year.
Yeah.
You know, and looking back, that since 15, where did the tasers come from before? I know it was
I
in the
don't-
last
yeah.
few years.
I don't
Why
know.
is it? I don't know.
It could have been billed to some other, I mean, whether you consider that a supply or a piece of equipment, I'm not sure where they came from before.
Sometimes did they get a
Get
grant
grants or
for?
But if they're
sometimes-
new, it's not really an equipment repair.
This is supplies. Yeah, I'm saying I don't know where they
Okay,
purchased
this
them
is
from
under-
It's
before.
not a repair is what she's saying.
Right.
It should be in a different category, new equipment.
She needs equipment instead of repairs.
Yeah, we can put it somewhere else, this is where we put it, yep. Technicality. Anything else?
Is it true they're still looking for volunteers from the council to road test the tasers?
I'm not sure. Are you volunteering?
Look out there.
All right, so 7,000 is what we have requested for supplies, that's office supplies, 2,500 for ammo, citations, computer keyboard, which we talked to him about, we probably have available in some other department, and 2 new office chairs. Everybody okay with that number? $6,550 for clothing. They have a clothing allowance, which is $600 per officer per year, $100 per reserve officer. They're looking for 2 new vests at $660.
Is this a yearly thing to rotate the vests out because they had new vests last year?
Yeah.
They can only
It's only 2 though, and
Yeah,
and
that's why
it's
I'm
per
asking,
person.
or is this a yearly replacement so that eventually they'll all be replaced on a periodic basis?
I believe so. It's only
Okay.
2 out of 8, so I'm guessing it's in a rotation.
Yeah.
1,100 for janitorial supplies.
I question that. He's used 28% this year. Why? And he went up.
Just Cleaner buys the stuff, so if you feel like that number can be lower, we can certainly look at lowering it. I don't think that they intend to do anything significantly different than they've done in the past with janitorial supplies.
I mean, then why'd they raise it? Why not leave it where it was last year?
Would you like to lower it $100?
Sure.
Or even a couple hundred, because you've got
Just tell me how much.
down to 800 is the highest they've used.
Okay, well, 910 in 2014, but 800?
Yeah.
And does everyone agree with that?
Yeah.
It's a $300 decrease.
I'm fine with it.
Gas, oil, and diesel, 19,000. Travel and conference.
Why is that so much?
Well, it's hard to know how much gas you're gonna spend, and when I've talked to Mike about some people driving more than others, it just depends on the deputy or the officer, how much they wanna patrol, and then what the cost of
Yeah,
gas
but Hot
is.
Springs is not, it's a
Wait.
little town.
I'm
Yeah.
happy to lower the price
Yeah,
if
I mean,
you're
I'm
asking me to.
just saying, they're 14,000, 11,000.
Right,
Then we go up to 19,000. He's used 31% so
Yeah.
far.
we can
Well, in
drop it down.
2013, he used 21,000 almost.
I see, I don't have that in this book.
Yeah, because Banyan can't print all
Well, the
those.
gas prices changed and
They
it's
do.
blown out, so.
That could be gas prices, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
I think there's a hitch for that, but
So, do we wanna lower that number to 15, 16, 18?
I think we should go down at least to 15.
Does everyone agree with a $15,000
I'm
figure
a
then?
little bit
What about-
concerned,
Maybe
just with the
18
hedge
or
of,
something, just not quite that
Yeah.
much.
yeah,
Because gas prices fluctuate a lot.
yeah.
Well, it was
and-
11,016, 14,015, and it's
and
it's
they've
not
been
like we're using the same
Been
amount of gas every year.
very low the last couple of years. so.
And it's, yeah, it seems to be staying
Well,
at
at
that
least
rate, so we can.
17,000 probably was
I'd
enough.
say 8, I said 18 is what I said. I would
Think
think,
it's
that way we're
17.5.
just kind of sending a message, but
Mhm.
I won't argue about it.
Yeah, these are small figures, so just tell me what to stick in there, because we're
Go
trying to make up the
17.5 and let
deficit.
it go at that.
There you go.
17.5?
That works for me.
Okay, down to 17.5 for gas, oil, and diesel. 3,000 for travel and conference. Telephone, back to travel and conference.
He just used $700 out of 3,000 this year. Does he have plans for some fall conferences?
There's a request that's going to be in your next council meeting. The majority of the training that they've been going to is offered through the Training Academy and Pier, and so they don't have to pay for that, and their lodging is also included. So it's just getting back and forth there, but if they choose to go to training in Denver, which he has done before, or any other training, then there'd be the expense of that. That was the number he picked. Whether that's enough or not is.
Well, you look 300, 100, and 1,000, and then.
Well, we have a new
we're at
captain
3,000.
or new chief
Well-
of police who is more focused on training and developing the staff that he has than we had in 2013.
But we've sent some officers for training.
Yeah.
You know, we're not.
And we
not
don't pay
sending
for
them.
that when they go to
Right.
get certified, other than their salaries and the gas to get them there. So
And
if you'd like to see that lower, I'm comfortable with that, or if you'd like to leave it the same.
we have 2 officers that we're hoping to get to certification next month.
But that's fairly free for us, it's just gas to get in there and that gets
Okay,
filled,
but-
their gasoline.
And looking at the 23%, I agree with Carolina. Like the other times that we've asked, the number seems low, and we're looking for what is going to happen in the next 4 or 5 months that would bring that up to the budgeted amount for the year. I'm just looking at, is the certification class are going to bring that up?
No, probably not that significantly since we don't have to pay for that training.
What about bringing it to just 2,500? That's not a big drop, but he still might be able to go to a conference out of state if he needed to with that, and it'd save a little money.
I'm okay with that, is everyone else okay with 2,500?
So travel and conferences, that's training then too?
Yes, if they have to pay for it, yeah, if they don't do it in the state of South Dakota, there's an expense, but most of the training this force has been going to, has been offered through that, I'm not sure what it's called, the State Training Academy, Police Academy in Pierre, and those are free of charge to our police officers, and they also lodge them and feed them.
So as we look at continual education, police department is certainly a place that I think we want to continue doing that. They're out there interfacing with our citizens all the time.
Plus, we have a very young force.
Are you comfortable at 2,500? Bob?
If he's not comfortable with that,
I don't think so.
it doesn't matter. I'm not that big a deal with me. Do you not comfortable with 2,500?
I'd like to leave it at 3 and look into options for sending the different officers that the chief needs to go to some particular type of training, identify something. Training for our police officers is important.
And they really have been going to a lot of training this year, it's just the majority of it has been in the state and it's been covered.
And it's been covered, that's right. We've got someone right now in training.
And you have a request on your next one where the cost is just getting them there. So 3,000?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
Telephone, 3,000, made some changes to our phones there. 3,700 in electricity. 2,900 for cell phones, that's a smartphone for the chief and basic phones for the 6 officers. The DARE program, we have 1,800. We talked about how that's fully funded by donations, but we do have to budget for it in order for them to be able to expend it. Here's where we have a big ticket item for the police department. They asked for $38,000 to be budgeted for a new patrol vehicle in 2018. That estimate is for a 2018 Dodge Charger, fully equipped. This total would be an estimate for our expenses to cover $10,500 from their budget, and then $27,500 from our unassigned fund balance in the 101 fund. So that's part of that deficit, that $100,000 deficit or cash difference we're trying to make up in order to purchase this patrol
Has
vehicle.
Mike discussed maybe rather than getting the Charger, getting another pickup?
They don't like the pickup. It's not working out as well. Well, maybe I
Oh,
should.
really?
I shouldn't, but there's trouble getting people into the pickup. There's no trunk to keep the equipment that they're used to keeping. And so, although they like to have one pickup, they're not interested in having a pickup again.
Misty, I've talked to you about this. This is more than, they got a new car this year or last year?
Both years, 2016 and
And
2017.
this is more than that, correct?
Yes. It does seem to be a little higher. I did print out, so I could answer this, how much we spent on the Charger and the pickup, I think. It does seem to have, when they gave the estimate for it, there's a little like, oh, this much for unexpected wiring. So here's where the $38,000 figure comes from. If you guys wanted to pass that around. With the Charger, in 2016 when we purchased it, they were about $38,000 with their estimate, but we ended up spending $33,000 in total to fully equip that vehicle, and then we were at $37,800 to fully equip the pickup.
So this shouldn't be as expensive as the truck. since we're gonna.
Well, in 2016, we fully equipped a Charger, which is similar to what they want to purchase now for $33,800.
Which vehicle are they?
They're looking
wanting to
for a
replace?
Charger again.
Which one are they looking to replace? What's the age, the mileage?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my next question. Is this replacing or is this an entirely new vehicle?
It's replacing. Here's their current fleet. Let me get to where you can see the year. So this includes the new Dodge pickup, the Charger they bought in 16, 2013 Ford Intertaurus, 2014 Ford Explorer, 2011 Crown Vic. This Dodge Durango, I think, is already junked and ready to be surplus. And it's one of the, I can't remember if it's one of these Durangos or the Charger that they're looking to replace.
I think it's one of the Durangos.
One of the Durangos.
It's got excessive high mileage. I think, over.
This Durango's already in the shop, broke down. This is no longer working or assigned to anyone, and these two are not
One of them's a
very good
reserve.
vehicles.
Yeah, one of them's a reserve.
Is it not assigned to anyone because it's not working?
No, they are assigned. The 2008 Dodge Durangos are assigned. We have officers using those right
What
now.
about the 2006 Charger? Isn't it sitting down the shop?
Yeah, it's broke. There's one at the police department that's sitting there right now that's broken, that's not assigned to anybody. We're gonna look to surplus.
Could the animal control officer use the yellow truck?
He has a truck that's
He's
equipped
happy
and
with
he's
that.
comfortable using it.
I didn't know if his.
Somebody use that yellow truck.
Somewhere.
My friend had rolled into a ditch somewhere.
So this amount, although you may be able to change it, are y'all comfortable with the idea of getting another vehicle for the police department in 2018? So would you like to see that 38 changed to 35 or another number, knowing that we spent 33.8 equipping the 2016 and things may go up a little bit?
This is something they need, right?
It's what?
It's something they need, right?
They always need it. Every year they're gonna ask you for a car. Or a truck.
It's
Every year.
Yes,
Maybe
Yeah.
every year we should be thinking about getting a car so that they could get rid of some of the old ones.
Yeah, I think we've got,
They went
I think they're still using
several years
They'll
without
still be
it.
back next year.
My question would be, is it always when they replace and they buy vehicles, always brand new? Is there some option to look at a, some
When it comes-
auction or?
When it comes to police vehicles and what they're equipped with, the recommendation has consistently been to go with new.
Yeah, and they have to fully equip it somewhere anyway. They take it somewhere and do that.
and probably one of the biggest sources is government surplus, federal
Right.
surplus. And I know
Pardon?
our security police vehicles that we use, we're ready for the junkyard. I mean, they were,
I think it's
Instead of
brand new
them.
and it's always just that depreciation factor. You drive it off the lot if it's already depreciated. I mean, we probably do the depreciation on them anyway.
yeah.
Part of the budget,
Yeah.
but I always like buying used.
No,
But I'm not driving around with police cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Is-
but they don't, it's each of their
Because I
own
think
car.
other
So they
departments
just
do the
their
same
share.
thing, they drive, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the 2018 Dodge Charger the least
Yeah,
expensive
here we
vehicle they
can
could find
afford
for
one
the
for
class
everybody.
vehicle they
Why do
need,
that?
or is it just the one that they want to get because that's
That's been
historically the
brought up.
brand they've been getting?
Yeah, I know that they're purchased off the state bid site and they're designed specifically as police vehicles. The Chargers are. I think that they want a Charger because they're happy with the one that they got.
Okay.
I think the structure is what they said was a heavier duty structure for fast travel and holding the road good. But yeah, back to your question about used versus new, is the fact that
No.
the new ones,
Yeah.
once you put all that money
Still
into
gotta
the
have something that can
equipment,
catch the average.
hesitate
Car, yeah.
to not keep it for quite a while.
Oh, we have like 2013 ones, so they've been constantly driven for 14 years, so yeah, you're right.
Are we comfortable with 38,000? Do we want to change that number?
That sounds fine to me. I mean, we have the sheet we passed around. That's the breakdown of costs.
But that was a breakdown of estimates, so we also have the actual for 2016, but
And if it
which was
comes in less, we've
33,800.
gotta-
Yeah.
Looking at the purchase of the vehicle, I'm disappointed to hear they don't like the pickup.
Me too.
They
maybe
They made
that's
a
not a
strong,
good statement.
No.
I just know they don't
push
want to.
for the truck,
Zach really
which
likes it.
I think
But they don't
my
want-
recollection is the council agreed, that if it could go to the city, one of the city departments, as a pickup after, that's a great idea. I would just hope that the council is involved in the purchase of it. The last time we ran into, at least I thought we were getting one thing, we got a different thing. So I would hope the council would want to have more oversight on the purchase of that vehicle rather than the authorization, go get it, bring it back to us and say, hey, here's what we got.
And not just the
That didn't
purchasing, but the
work.
outfitting?
Was the
That
pickup,
didn't work
Yeah.
out well for us last time.
was the pickup the 48,000?
No, that would have been another charger and probably some other things. The 10.5 is what was projected for their part of the expense, and the rest of it came from the 212 fund to purchase the pickup.
I think our dog idea was part of that, wasn't it?
Not as it
Having
was,
it-
not as it
having a
was,
dog in that.
not as it was presented to the council last year at budget time. The dog was never discussed, it was never brought to the council until November and December. So it may have been in their mind to do that, but they never represented to the council, that's what they wanted to do. That's part of my concern and oversight, and what are you doing, what are you gonna get? After, my expectation was we were gonna get a white vehicle, that was what was in the fleet, short of one other car. It comes back with a black one because they could get it sooner than they, waiting off the state bid, and then it's too hot, and now we've got to do some additional shading to it. It just seemed like it kind of took on a momentum of its own, rather than really looking at it very closely up front and making sure that what we got was as inexpensive as it could be.
And even with that, we didn't hit 38,000 on the pickup, so.
Can you pass that on to the police department? Our questions about this, just so that
Yes,
we'd like
Yes,
some
absolutely.
oversight with that.
Are we comfortable leaving the number then there? 200 for IACP membership, and that brings the police department total to 591, 495 with the changes. Okay, support services, we pay Fall River County $55,000 a year to provide the dispatch service for our city. We have no indication that that's gonna change, so we have the same amount budgeted for this year.
Do we know how much the county budget is for that?
No.
But we looked into this, and it's such a good bargain, we
Yeah.
just pass it and don't
It's
say.
a good price for
Okay,
it.
good.
So,
I just didn't know.
If you remember, when you got your budgetary funding requests, that the fire department requested the same $90,000 as they had the year prior, but they also were asking for $30,000, which is not in here anywhere, for additional equipment. We have projected $90,000 for the fire department to continue funding that we had with them the year before.
so it's 30,000 they're requesting besides?
Yes, and it is, that's what the request that they gave you said.
Because that was what they asked for last time, so they could do the equipment last time.
They got 90,000 last
Yeah.
year, and we have projected 90,000 for this year.
And they had a $38,000 surplus in their budget, was what I was shown last year, so I think they're fine with 90.
So they're asking us to move it up to 120,000?
They're asking for a total of 100.
Okay.
Comfortable leaving it at 90?
Yes.
Yeah.
Planning administrator, that would be Ken's position. It's $54,000 budgeted in salaries and wages. $4,150 for payroll taxes, $3,300 for retirement, $350 for workman's comp, $7,400 for group insurance, $1,300 for unemployment insurance, $205 for a portion of the South Dakota Public Insurance Alliance insurance. Professional services and fees at $600. That includes an ICC membership, South Dakota Builder membership, and South Dakota Planners Group memberships. $250 for publishing. It's anticipating greater number of legal ads and public notices due to enforcements and updates on codes.
Can we look at that one now?
Which one?
The publishing. 2016, she used 800, I'm rounding off here. Budgeted 98 or 980 in 2017. She's already spent $303 or $301, so she's 30%, and she's reducing the amount, anticipating a greater number of legal. What was the explanation there?
For enforcement,
That-
greater number of notices for enforcement.
Yeah, so she's already spent 300, but she's expecting a greater number, and she's reduced her amount.
Good catch.
Yeah.
Historically, 250 has been enough. I'm not sure what the anomaly was in 2016. I'm gonna try to look for that real quick to see what may have, she maybe paid for some publishing that was a one-time large expense in
We're doing a lot of the
2016.
webinars.
Looks like notice of hearing, an ordinance, contractor list published. These are all items in 2016. So she paid an extra $300 to have a 3-column, 10-inch licensed contractor list published 2 times in the Hot Springs Star. Contractor ad correction notice. Building code exam, building code standard order was $130. Ordinance that had a publication fee of $151. So it does look like there were some large expenses that may have been one-time expenses in 2016. Looking back historically, 250 should do the trick.
Okay.
We didn't decrease
Probably.
the number she asked for, so.
Probably cleaning up from previous administration.
Okay.
Nothing budgeted for vehicle repairs, because she's not interested in driving that vehicle. Supplies is $2,000, and in the notes, the 2018 comprehensive plan printing is listed in there. $100 for gas, oil, and diesel. Gas money for travel used locally. $800 for travel and conference. She's planning to attend the South Dakota Planners Group and pay a $475 annual conference fee with travel. Telephone $1,000. Cell phone $300, although she does not utilize the $25 a month reimbursement, so that could come out. $125 for computer software and $125 for books. The cell phone, if she weren't in the position, someone else might want the $25 a month reimbursement, but knowing that she's in the position now and she's not currently utilizing it, not looking to utilize it, I would recommend you drop that figure off the budget.
Agreed.
Okay.
Every $300 counts, so we're taking that out, which brings our total budget up, to $75,705. The next one's a big one. Highways, streets, and roadways. We have 184,000 budgeted for salaries, 14,000.
Why is there a decrease
Yeah,
on
why would there be
wages?
less?
We did a more assessed breakdown, and this is a tough one because DLA makes us split up street cleaning, snow removal, cemetery, parks, and we share employees between these departments. I can't tell you how much it's gonna snow or how much street cleaning we're gonna get done, the way our street cleaner breaks down. Not as much this year as we would have liked, but we, this year, did a personnel budget by department, and we tried to analyze the data from years past and break it up per department for the total salaries and wages that are paid to all these employees that are shared between the departments. And so that's where we came up with that $182,000 figure.
Is Tracy included in this, any portion of
No.
this one? Okay.
They're 44% on target so far this year for the amount we gave them last year, which would indicate that there's a little bit of an overage there. And again, I really wish we could lump it all together and we didn't have to split it since these are the same employees either getting paid from here or here. It's not like we're adding employees for the different functions, but it's the best guess.
Okay.
All these numbers are tied to that first number. And professional services, we're at 2,500. They've only used 2% of their 3,500 from last year.
What is that for?
I can tell you what I mean, it's a very small amount that they paid out of this year, so there's not gonna be much to tell you for so far this year, but I can look back at the year past.
Isn't that when they have to hire somebody to come in to do something?
Yep, typically that's what it would be for. So we'll just look at 2016, what they spent, since they obviously didn't spend much this year yet. 2016, they paid, well, it might be Kim's budget, you don't wanna know. She had there. In 2016, for professional services, they paid John Deere to do, to overhaul the SE1. They paid some freight charges, they paid fees for a drug test. City portion of insurance deductible came out of there. An annual conference, annual fire extinguisher inspection, those are the kind of things that were paid out of there.
Okay, thank you.
Rentals, $1,000.
Why is that in there?
If they need to rent a forklift or something that they don't have.
They have it for 4 years? Just wondering.
Yeah.
I mean,
Again,
it's just a,
it's an estimate, you know, sometimes things come up and they need to fix lights that they don't have ladders big enough for and they have to rent something. So we could take it out since they haven't used anything, but they felt that they needed that in their budget.
historically, they
Requested.
don't use it.
Yeah. Would you like to see any changes to that number?
I'm just trying to think what else they rent.
Usually it's some type of equipment.
Yeah.
Well, it's a contingency thing. If they don't use it, the money goes back in, right?
Right? Well, we don't encourage them to waste it, that's for sure. Vehicle repairs, 10,000. They have quite a large fleet. Building repairs, 2,000. 15,000 for equipment. 15,000 for street and walk repairs.
Going back to vehicle repair, so they've never come close to that figure, to the 10,000.
2014 they spent 16, 2013 they spent 14, but the last couple years, no, they have not been close. Where are we at year to date?
16.
Yeah, we've only spent 1,600 year to date. Would you like to see a change to that number? The amount that they requested?
Well, last year's budget gave them over a 200% increase from it, and they haven't come anywhere near spending that
Well,
amount
I'd
this
say
year.
we're lucky that we haven't had to spend that in vehicle repairs. They do have an aging fleet.
I was
You
gonna
wanna-
say
You want to
their trucks
see
are getting pretty old, some of them.
the vehicles that they keep?
So we reduce it and they need it. The fleet, several of the vehicles in the fleet break and they need more than what we've reduced it by. What are our options at that point?
Contingency or unassigned fund balance by supplemental appropriation ordinance.
Pay me now or pay me later.
Yeah, so here's street vehicles, the list of the vehicles that they have.
They must take good care of their
Streets and
vehicles.
parks.
They're last a long
Yeah.
time.
They do, they take very good care.
I can see why they'd be concerned. That's a pretty old fleet.
and a large one.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable changing that number if you'd like to see that changed, or leaving it if you'd like to see it left. This was the amount that was requested.
Well, they dropped it 2,000
3.
from last, well, I've got 17 to 15. That under the, oh no, I was looking at something,
Yeah, it's
I was looking at equipment repairs. Right.
I think it should be left just because of the age of some of the equipment.
Any other opinions? Okay to leave it?
Okay with it?
Okay. Right, building repair 2,000, I think we were a little farther down here. Supplies, 1,500. Clothing, 1,400. It's personal protective equipment. Janitorial supplies, 2,500. Minor tools, 4,000. Gas, oil, and diesel, 12,000. They also have a 1/3 share of the new road signs we were talking about. Water and sewer, 5,900, includes 2,400 of that.
The janitorial again, it's kind of like, I guess with the, I can't remember the other one we're looking at, but they only spent 24% of that, and it was historically lower than what it was budgeted for. I don't know if, it's not gonna be a lot, but.
Right, but we could drop it to 2,000 if you all feel comfortable with that, or
I think
even a
that's a
lower
good
down
idea.
amount. 2,000?
Sure.
Okay. We just dropped janitorial from 2,500 to 2,000. And if it's okay, I think we were down to travel and conference 400. Telephone 2,000. Got rid of an extra phone line and a fax line out there. Electricity
Do they
8,500.
still need that much for the telephone? They're at 24% so far this year. They've only spent about 700.
Yeah, we dropped it 800 from last year because of that. We could try dropping it a little bit more, but they were over 2,000 in 15 and 16, but we did drop a line and a fax line. So if we did drop it, I wouldn't recommend much more than a couple hundred.
That's all right.
Just leave it? Okay. Electricity 8,500, propane 12,000, cell phone 800, for, and now new total of 366,500. Yeah.
If Marty has to leave at 8, should we go to the donation thing now and do that while he's here? I mean, is there any reason to hold off through the rest of this that you can see? Or at least we were gonna talk about the list at the front of our packet and see if there's money we don't need to spend there, if that would affect donations at all, or maybe just be a savings.
We've already made a couple changes in the subsidies for enterprise funds that need help from the 212 funds. So we do have an additional $6,243 that we could put towards the 20 and still have enough to pay for the projects that we have in 2012. Are you guys all comfortable moving on to that now? Is that okay with everyone?
Since
Or
he
would
has
you
to
rather
leave, or you all mind?
continue to go through
Discuss
it?
that while he's here.
taking a 5-minute break.
Okay.
I'm the only one that complains.
That's okay.
I'm certainly comfortable with looking at it, but we haven't come close
I was gonna
to
say, we have more to
getting
do.
kind of the money in there
But,
that,
but whether that
It's gonna
money
do
for
some good.
donations.
But whether that money for
101.
donations or just saving, any money we save doesn't necessarily go out the door and we give it away.
I don't disagree with that,
Yeah.
but I'd like to see how much we can save overall.
From the other,
And then decide, okay, for conversation, we've saved 50,000. Do we want to spend none of that? Do we want to put 10 of it towards donations? Do we want to put something of it towards donations?
or do we want to put it in the street department? Let them
Yeah.
Work on more streets.
Remember in the general fund, we're still working on getting this deficit down, so I've got 14,600 now that we've knocked out, but we're still at 104,000 for cash applied, so I don't know how much more you're gonna be able to take out of the general fund to give for donations than what
Right.
we've already identified as available in the 212
So there's not much that's going to come out of what we're looking at that's going to go.
Because it would be on a, it would have to come from cash applied, not from a cut you're gonna make in the general
Does
fund.
that make sense? That we're not going to be able to find anything?
In general.
In in general.
And maybe we do, but
I'd say reducing our deficit is more important than doing donations, honestly.
Yes.
why did I do that the wrong way? So we're just taking a break now, right?
Yeah.
Everybody take a break, I'm gonna play with these numbers.
Does that make sense what she said?
It does, and that's what I think before we begin looking at anything, we've got to figure out what we can get
Yeah.
reduced down
What's
to.
cash apply?
Just to,
It's like,
Base
comes
level.
from our savings account, comes from the money we have in
To
the
make the
bank.
difference.
Yeah, not from
In
what
the
we're
projected
projecting
budget.
in
I
revenue.
understand what you're saying, I don't
And
disagree, but
so,
that's,
not
it's kinda
super
why-
comfortable with any cash applied amount, but if we are gonna use
So
the
that
cash
means we
applied,
can
it should be
make
for
less.
one-time purchases, not recurring things.
We're still short that amount, right?
And we do have some one-time purchases like the roof
With the cash
replacement
applied.
and the vehicle
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
yeah, our expenditures are $104,000 over our projected revenue.
Right. And we're trying to find money to give.
Here, I'll show you.
That makes a lot of sense.
You already know. It's a
well, I checked that out.
looking at, you know, it's stuff
It's a what?
that's-
Okay.
Especially, I don't know, I've moved on, obviously
So
benefits
this
and
would be
students.
our max levy for 2018.
Being near that, I just called from that.
Levy, yep.
I couldn't really hear what you said. He was shading.
Just saying, it's a
Container
difficult
years, the basic
proposition